What's up, guys? Tambo here with your weekly core report. We had some nice hits across sports last week, and an RPS contributors heater continued. Let's get to the winners. We kick things off with NHL, where our content has been producing some big winners, including our own Jared Kimball, who shipped a seat to the DraftKings NHL Live Final. Wire Rich also hit an NHL recently for over $9K. At Rumpure Sports, our talent roster is loaded with winners. K Falik has been contributing cores to our members since day one and has been on an epic heater recently. K Falik had success in MMA recently, hitting for $10K. In NBA, he has also been crushing on FanDuel, hitting for $20K and then running it back with an $18K shipper, including his first FanDuel NBA Live Final seat. K Falik's NBA core also helped Bogard Jr. ship for $40K on FanDuel. And K Falik wasn't the only one shipping at NBA. Jackson used C-Dome and Draft Cheats advice on our free NBA show to ship for $23K. RPS had a nice showing in the DraftKings NFL Finals this past weekend, with both members and contributors participating in the annual event. Big T and myself hit for $20K. Lox won $50K. D. Kafer hit for $70K. Tiger Ball 23 hit for $100K, while RPS member Mr. Panther had a huge $150,000 day. Our showdown content has had a ton of success this season and continued in week 15. Big T nailed his 49ers core as usual, featuring his Guy Kittle in the captain, along with CMC and Brock Purdy. Tony rode this core to an 81K night and was joined by our members. Arha00 hit for $2K. Rip City turned $148 into over $10K, and A. Crowdy turned $34 into over $10K as well. And our guy Snyder nailed his Trevor Lawrence call as a guest on our Sunday morning Off the Chalk show.
I really like Trevor Lawrence as a mid-tier QB this week. He's been the third fastest in average time to throw the ball at 2.4 seconds, which is going to be huge against this pass rush, I think.
You want to be featured in the core report? Drop your winning lineup in the Members Never Win channel in our premium Discord. If you're not a member, join now. You won't find a better value, all sports included, for one low price. Till next time, let's keep running pure. What's up, everyone? Tyler Tamboline here, aka Toe Tag and Tambo. We're back. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas Eve to everybody out there joining us on this early Saturday morning. We've got the slate this week, week 16 on a Saturday. It's going to be great. It's going to be a great day. I know it for DFS. I feel really good about everything we're about to talk about. But before we get into it, I want to remind everyone very quickly, hit that like button on the way in. Hit that subscribe. Remember, help us out. Our end of year goal for subscribers on YouTube was 15,000. I say was, but I think we can still get there. We got a lot of great content coming to you guys today. We'll have stuff over the next week. We can get there by New Year's Eve, so I appreciate it. Hit the like. Bring in my guys, JT Hayes, AP. I'm going to start with you. Kansas City's on the slate, man. We'll get there, but how you doing on this Christmas Eve?
Doing excellent, Tambo. Good to have you back. Good to be here with JT Hayes. Feels like an honor. I mean, we got a wild slate, lots of weather. Lots of dusty plays, our projected chalk. It's going to be a ton of fun. Excited to break it down with you fellas.
JT Hayes, my guy, got we're talking American for a second, the beanie on, but shout out to my fellow Canadians, know that he's rocking a toque. JT Hayes, what's going on, man? What's happening?
Yeah, it's cold. It's cold is what's going on. So down here in Atlanta, 9 degrees. It's hurtful is what it is. But yeah, interesting slate. We were talking before we came on, and I feel like this is going to be a fun show. Lots of directions to go, lots of cold weather in the country. And, look, I mean, people say don't overreact to weather, but you got more than a couple of teams in really meaningless games who are just going to be miserable today. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in those spots.
Yeah, we'll talk about the weather. That's sort of the elephant in the room. We got to get that out of the way first. Our guy, Zach Curry, in the chat, Mom Spaghetti, said, look at that beanie, 8 Mile-ish over there. And then another guy asked, did you just come back from robbing a bank? It's probably too early for that, right, JT? You do that on the side. That's usually a side project.
Yeah, man, banks aren't open at 8 o'clock in the morning on Christmas Eve, my man. So
yeah,
no.
He's working on the note, though, over there. He's going to go after the show, pass it across to the teller, and make that happen. So watch out in that area. AP, I'll talk to you quick about this weather, man. Let's get it out of the way here. We talked a little bit pre-show. Everyone knows there's one game that's been sort of flagged as the worst game in the world of all time. We get it, but talk to me a little bit about that game. That's the New Orleans-Cleveland game, and then talk to me about the rest of the slate from a weather perspective before we get into it.
Yeah, I mean it's cold, but that's what happens at this time of the year. It's cold. These guys know that. Like, it's nothing new. I mean, yeah, there's some bad situations. The Saints, Cleveland, like that's obviously a huge concern. But like Buffalo, Chicago, like I don't know. I think Josh Allen will still be able to do his thing. Obviously a concern, but if anything, he could maybe use his legs a little bit more. But then we got spots like KC, not worried about that. I mean, single digit temps, cold, but the weather's fine. Same with like, I don't know, Carolina, the Patriots game. Like, I don't know. I'm not as worried about those situations. So basically for me, Saints, Cleveland, definitely, concerned about that spot. Not as concerned about the other spots on this slate.
Yeah, and JT, I'll bring it back to you. I mean, is it really, obviously, get it, the Cleveland game, sure. But is it really just that all the weather piled on one weekend is why everyone's freaking out? Because it's December, NFL. We've definitely seen guys playing cold. Shit, we just watched last Saturday night. The snowstorm did pick up and come in, and it seemed like the points piled on more at the end of that Buffalo-Miami game. Again, better offenses in the cold and in the snow. We'll talk about that. But hey, today you got Allen versus Fields. They both can play in the cold. I think they're more than fine with it. So just little things like that. But what's your thoughts on the weather and why everyone's sort of, I don't know if they're overreacting, but it's been made into a much bigger deal, I think, than the obvious one game that stands out.
Yeah, I think it's all of the games on one weekend, but also look at these totals: 35, 35, 32. The two games that have totals that you're interested in terms of from a normal DFS perspective are the game in Kansas City and of course the game in Minnesota, which really second to Detroit. Second two games in Detroit. This Minnesota spot, I mean, this defense is terrible, but the offense is elite on Minnesota. And they've made opposing offenses into elite offenses. And even though Daniel Jones is missing key players, receivers, some of these other guys have stepped up and they still have Saquon Barkley. So the other thing, when you think about that Cleveland game, and to some extent, for me at least, in the Carolina game with respect to the Carolina side, you've got some really bad coaching staffs. You've got some really bad coaching staffs who've made some really poor decisions. And I'd like to get on board with Nick Chubb because I think he's a good player this week. But you look at the New Orleans Saints side, I mean, Taysom Hill is getting 20 to 25% of the snaps, mostly at the expense of Alvin Kamara. And do you wonder if in that weather, with the Browns really having very little to play for, is this a spot where they don't want to keep Chubb on the field for the full allotment of plays in that miserable weather? So those are things that I think about when you look at the other side of that Carolina game, Detroit and Jared Goff. He's a guy who's got elite weapons now. He's also a guy that's had a lot of problems, even this season, playing outdoors. Earlier in the season when it was warmer in New England, terrible game. Last game out, 13 fantasy points. 13 fantasy points, I don't think is going to be enough today. So that's the thing for me here, is looking at where are the better offenses. I think to AP's point, the Bills, this has been a good spot last several weeks for opposing quarterbacks, receivers, etc. So I think people are rightly concerned about some spots with weather. The wind there, I think, in Chicago is something that people are talking about a little bit more than the temperatures.
Yeah, I agree. I will just say this too, though. Again, makes for ugly games. Yes, watching sometimes bad. Makes for hard to bet because, sometimes I think it was Big T on the show yesterday talking, you maybe could still bet that under even at 32. And I get it. And that makes sense. But remember, we just talked about this. I wasn't on the show last week. I think it was the week before or maybe a month ago or so, JT, where I think it was DJ Moore versus Terry McLaurin. They both got like 25 DraftKings points or something in a really low total. And we said on this show, remember, DFS doesn't really matter. It could be 7-7. They score the one touchdown each, get the 8 catches for 80, or they get the bonus with the 100 yards. That can still happen regardless. So we need to think about that when we're stacking up our points, stacking up our lineups. Before I come back to you, AP, we kind of did our grand scheme overview with the weather, but want to remind everyone very quickly, like I say, hit that like button. We've got almost 500 watching. I know it's a slow start. It's Christmas Eve. If you got kids, they're probably trying to cave your house in, bouncing off the walls, jumping up and down on the floors. I get it, but just take 2 seconds, stop, hit the thumbs up. It helps us out a ton. We're going to ask, you know it anyway, so get it out of the way now. Click that like button. AP, come back to you. Anything else you want to add before we go position by position? As always, talk about the chalk, how we can get different on this slate. Anything else you're seeing overall, sort of grand scheme for this slate, stuff that stands out?
Yeah, only thing that I want to add is, fellas, we got a good tournament slate this week. I'm really excited to dive in. You know what I mean?
Pretty good tournament week, as AP would like to say, right? It's week 16,
each and every week.
It's still a good tournament week. Every week.
It has been wild in the NFL streets lately. It's been very wild. So
yeah, this is definitely a good week. I guess the last thing I'll add, and then JT, I'm going to come back to you, start with quarterback, is you just look at this slate. The build looks pretty set for what people are doing, and we'll talk a lot about that as we go position by position on ways to get unique, but it looks set up as cheaper quarterback. You'll see when we get there, Cousins, Jones, Minshew, etc. And then even the Goffs of the world and Genos and stuff that plug in. Then people are going to talk where the ownership's going, CMC, Henry, the guys there, Dalvin Cook, some others, we'll get to it. And then there's a lot of these pay down wide receiver options. So you can flip the build. We can talk about that. Tight end has cheap options. Defense, there's so many options from 2K to 2,800. Go from there. But lots of ways that you can flip the build here. So I'm excited for the slate. I will stand with my guy AP on this one and say it is a very good tournament slate for that reason. JT Hayes, come back to you. Any final thoughts before we hop in? If not, let's talk some quarterback, man. We got Cousins, Jones, Minshew, like I said, Geno, guys like that up top. And then a little bit of like the Dax. Other guys are sliding in. What do you see here?
Yeah. So it's tough. I mean, for me, it's a little tough to get away from that Minnesota game for a couple of reasons. One, we have seen this Minnesota defense be so bad. Indianapolis puts up 33 points on them in the first half last week. Flip side of that, what makes this game interesting as well, we've seen the Minnesota offense be just so elite, scoring and coming all the way back last week, granted against an Indianapolis defense, but this Giants defense has not been all that good. They're missing a ton of pieces in the secondary. So this is a really good spot for the Minnesota offense, and it's also a really good spot for the Giants offense. So the other spot, the other higher total, you're looking at Patrick Mahomes and Geno Smith. It's not impossible to fit Mahomes, and the guy that I think you want with him would be Travis Kelce, of course. I mean, it doesn't hurt that Seattle over the last 4 weeks has given up the most fantasy points to opposing tight ends. They've been bad against the position all year long. That just, as you point out, could be good because it takes you off of the double Derrick Henry, Christian McCaffrey builds. Now, maybe you can only fit one of them. Maybe you have to drop down a little bit to Saquon Barkley. Maybe that's not a bad thing to your point of flipping the build. You want to get a little bit different. Dak Prescott, 6,100. Interesting spot. Eagles defense has been very good. And Dallas has shown a propensity to use much more of their two-headed monster backfield, which has also been very good. Pollard more so explosive than Ezekiel Elliott getting the goal line rushes. And then, you want to pay down and play Gardner Minshew. I guess you could do that. I mean, he's 4,800. That really hasn't killed anyone. We saw, I think it was Baker Mayfield in a Millie Maker winning lineup when he was 5,100 earlier in the year, and he only put up like 16 points. So you get 16 or 17 out of Minshew and you get your other pieces right, that's fine. And then I have a little bit of interest in Millie Maker lineups in Sam Darnold, just because of the points given up to opposing quarterbacks by the Detroit defense. They are a quote-unquote pass funnel. And even to Zach Wilson, who you have to admit is one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL right now, 23 fantasy points just last week in a win. So I think you can play him. I'm going to reserve that for Millie Maker type lineups.
I laughed because we talked pre-show and I thought you were against us on that one because I know AP is going to want to talk about that a little bit, and we will. We'll dive in. I will say one thing about Minshew before I come to you, AP, it was just over a year ago when Minshew won me a lot of money at the King of the Beach. I came second. I played him. There was a chalk tight end that week. It was Foster Moreau, and he was almost the same price as Dallas Goedert. And I regret this to this day because I would have won not only King of the Beach, but a lot more money. Our guy Whistles actually shipped the Millie with Minshew and with Goddard together. That's it. I don't even think he ran it back, to be honest. All he did was go those two and then jam the best plays in because people couldn't quite get comfortable enough with it. Now, this week, a lot of people are comfortable with it, as AP will talk about in a second. I'd say he's 12 to 15%, depending on the tournament you look at. You can run him naked. I just always feel like if you are going to see if you're going to see the 20-point Gardner Minshew plus day, I think you are going to see someone come along with him, whether you want to do it with Devontae Smith, kind of in that Zay Jones spot of last week where he went off. You could do it with Goddard. You could double stack him to get different with him. There's a lot of different things you can still do with them, even though he is showing the ownership. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Goddard, not really showing much ownership on those three. And we've seen that work plenty of times where people go, oh, of course the chalk guy, Gardner Minshew, got there. Well, he did, but you didn't play him with anybody. You didn't play him at all, and then you didn't stack him with anyone. So just something I think of when I go to those builds. AP, I'll come to you. Cousins, Jones, Minshew, your guy Mahomes looks like if there is going to be a top price guy owned, it might be Patrick Mahomes. What are your thoughts here at the quarterback position?
Yeah, I mean, really interesting week from, quarterback perspective. I mean, like going back to last week, it was crazy. Everyone in Discord tilting Kirk Cousins. He was a quarterback that many of us were on, and throwing those 2 interceptions for a touchdown. But that's what you want. Like, you want if you're playing Cousins, you want them trailing. You like we've seen what this team has done multiple times. That is the script that you want. I don't know if I see that here. I really don't respect either of these teams, but I think the Vikings pound the Giants today. That's kind of what I feel and what I see happening. And so that takes me off of Cousins. I get the environment, the dome environment, very good for fantasy purposes, but you need that game script to pan out. And maybe it does. Maybe I'm wrong. I just don't see it happening again. I get more of the Danny Dimes side, but man, if he's going to be chalk, I just want to look elsewhere. This has been a guy that's tilted me like more often than not. Think about Jonas Valanciunas last night. I don't know, NBA, we're talking NFL. Same type of thing. Maybe not as highly owned, obviously, because we know the ownership at the quarterback position does spread out. Similar concept, though. So for me, I know I'm going to get made fun of for some of these quarterback takes, but I'm fine with it. I really like this Lions-Panthers game, and let me explain why. First off, I'm not concerned about the weather at all. It's 20 degrees, mid-20s. I wouldn't even be wearing a shirt there if it's 20 degrees. It's like negative 30 here. So I don't think the weather's going to be that bad. The other thing is the Lions are so efficient offensively. It forces the game script to play faster. I don't think and two, their run defense has been good. If you look at what opposing running backs have done against the Lions, not much at all. And that's just because they're forcing the other team to throw. And they get up, they force the other team to throw. So everyone loves DJ Moore this week, including me. No one loves Sam Darnold, who's 5,100. I'm going to play Sam Darnold. It's like, man, quarterbacks just print against this Lions team. Zach Wilson put up 24. Kirk Cousins, 28. The week before that, Allen, 31. Danny Dimes, 29. Fields, 44. I don't know. If I can get Sam Darnold, like, 2-3% owned, I'm going to go. I'm going to go that route. And then I love Amon-Ra St. Brown as a bring back. And then on the other side, too, I like Jared Goff at 5,400. So I'm just looking at these cheap quarterbacks because everyone likes cheap quarterbacks, including myself. I'm looking for leverage opportunities. I see 2 really good ones in this game. We've seen Jared Goff be optimal 2 or 3 times, like optimal, like as the best lineup you could possibly make 2 or 3 times this year alone. So, I mean, obviously Goff has it, and the price is still low. So you got Amon-Ra St. Brown. You compare him with DJ Shark. Khalif Raymond's been good. I mean, so many different options. So I'm banking on an overscript in that game. I think like my one concern is how slow the Panthers play. I'm banking on a game script that I see panning out, that they're going to be forced to play faster, throw the ball more, because it's hard to run on this Lions team. So that's a spot I really like. And then I'm going the other route. So I'm playing those 2 quarterbacks. I'm playing 4 quarterbacks today. The other 2 I'm playing are Mahomes and Josh Allen, just the absolute studs. Because if you think about it, ownership has to spread out this week a little bit, unless like Kirk Cousins, Danny Dimes, Gardner Minshew, unless they are the overwhelming chalk. That means I'm going to get these 4 quarterbacks that I mentioned very, very, very low owned. And I love that from a leverage standpoint. So Mahomes, here's how you play Mahomes. I could see them putting up there. They're going to destroy the Seahawks. I have no interest in Geno Smith today. I think they're going to absolutely lay it on them. I think they do it in 2 different ways. One, they just abandon the run. Maybe Pacheco fumbles or whatever, and Andy Reid just says, screw it. Let's just toss the rock with Mahomes. And you got Mahomes like 4 or 5 touchdowns, 1 to McKinnon, 1 to Kelsey, 1 to, whoever. But Mahomes would have his hands in all of those touchdowns. So I see that happening. And the way I like to pair it is, obviously with Kelsey, his main target there. The other way is they just pound them. And we see Jarrett McKinnon and Pacheco both get there, both get in the box, both put up big numbers. And so I like that. I like Mahomes, from that standpoint. And then Allen, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I'm just not worried about the weather there when it comes to Josh Allen's skill sets. I think he's going to get it done. 8,500 is going to put a cap on his ownership, especially when we talk about the other elite playmakers at the running back position that people are going to like, and Christian McCaffrey, Justin Jefferson. Hard to get it if you go Josh Allen. So it's going to force you to go down a different roster construction path. So those are the 4 quarterbacks I like this week, Tambo. I'll just wrap it up with that.
The shocker comments in the chat on the Patrick Mahomes stuff. It is at least a little bit interesting to me. Obviously, I like what JT Hayes said a little bit to tie in with yours, AP, if you want to go Mahomes, Kelsey. I'm not, because I don't play Mahomes, and I especially like that there's Pacheco, McKinnon. There's all kinds of ways that you can do it here. So I think that's interesting. I've got a couple others. Obviously, the Philly-Dallas game, popular. The New York Giants-Minnesota game, popular. I am with AP. I like the Darnold side better. One of my guys here in the chat had it was, I like Darnold more, TMJ, Terrace Marshall Jr., run it back with Amon-Ra. The reason I like that is because it wastes all 3 of your wide receiver spots, and now you can do whatever you want. And even if you are landing on some of those higher priced running backs now, you have all 3 wide receiver spots to that game stack dedicated. So that's interesting. The other one, they don't call him Joey Burrow for nothing. I don't care how cold it is there. This is a good matchup. I think the total's still fair. 41.5. You get Joey Burrow in there. Nobody playing Chase. Nobody playing Higgins. Nobody playing Will Cox with Hayden Hurst out. That tightens the tree up even more. But we like those guys on the other side. You could play Aguilar. Myers is in. You could play Ramondre Stevenson. Done. There's your game stack. I know it's only a 41.5, 42-point total, but on this slate, that's actually pretty tasty. When you take out, you have the 47s, the 49s, etc., but everyone's on those. We talked about it, so I got no problem going there. If you don't want to run it all the way out, you can go Burrow, Higgins with a run back, like an Aguilar or a Ramondre, something like that, and just get that piece. And now you can set your build up to do whatever else you want, because you are more than off the chalk when you get there. And I think Burrow will be just fine in this spot. So I like him. Going back through some other stuff, just having a look. I guess if you don't want to go on I talked already about Minshew. If you don't want to go on the Minshew side, though, JT Hayes did mention if you go to Dak, right, no one's really playing Lamb. Schultz really pops, and I didn't check fully. I think when we get to tight end, obviously Hawkinson is going to be up there. Schultz kind of just behind him, but that's the point. If Schultz looks good and that game spot looks good, most of it's going to be with like a Minshew something, where you play Minshew, maybe Devontae Smith and Schultz. I don't even think people are doing that, to be honest, though. So my point would be you can definitely get Schultz into your builds by going with Dak in the dome, Lamb or Noah Brown or Gallup, flop leg, whatever you want to do. It's still tight enough there that I think you can make it work. And then last thing I'll tie in, it does segue to what we're going to talk about later when we get to tight end, but definitely think there's some room in at least those 2 games, in the Philly-Dallas game and the Giants-Minnesota game, to make a very strong lineup from projection standpoint that still has low ownership by putting the 2 tight ends in. And I don't care what anybody says. I don't like 2 tight end builds. Trust me. I preach this 80% of the year. But when you've got Schultz and Goddard at those prices in the same game environment, I don't think that's bad. Goddard's a little bit of worry there with the first game back, but that's a pretty low price tag for a guy like him. And then on top, these are guys that can actually get in the box multiple times, by the way. And then, of course, you go to the Giants game. It's a price play, because when we get to wide receiver, you'll hear us talk about Richie James, Slayton, Hodgins, all these guys. But if you want to play Hawkinson chalk and then use Bellinger in the flex, you're not really doing anything different. You're just hoping Bellinger catches the touchdown instead of Richie James. To me, it's the same thing. It's a price play. It's not really like using 2 tight ends, even though he's coded as that in DraftKings. So not much else for me to add there, JT Hayes. I guess anything else you have at quarterback before we move on?
Just a question for AP, because I'm hearing, and I'm interested because they are different takes, and that's why I like doing this with you guys. The Vikings blowing out the Giants, the Chiefs blowing out the Seahawks. The Chiefs were played close by the Broncos. That was on the road. Then they were taken overtime by the Texans. Talk to me about a Chiefs blowout here against the Seahawks.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I think Lockett's a big hit. I think defensively they're going to be able to just kind of focus in, take away Metcalf. I think they're going to be tougher to run on too. And I just think, gosh, they have a lot of stuff to clean up, and they know it. And now is the time to do that. I just think they're at home, colder environment. I see them pounding them here. So I think it's And they need to, like, when they get up and they get that lead, they just got to start putting teams away. So I that's just what I see happening now. Man, it's a good question, JTAs, because I was on Houston last week. I thought they were going to cover. I thought that was the sharp side of this. I'm flip flopping. I think that KC pounds them. So I wish I had more to it outside of just kind of what my gut feels, but that's what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing with Carolina. You talk about that game, and like I said, I have slight interest in Darnold, but we know, the three of us know, the industry knows, most of the NFL knows that it's difficult to run against Detroit, and it has been. I'm not so sure that Steve Wilkes knows that. So I'm not so sure that you see.
It's a good point. That's a good point.
Heavy game plan here out of Carolina trying to grind the clock, and it might not work. It's not going to work. I just don't have a lot of faith in that coach.
There is one point to that. It's a good segue. We can move on. We go back to quarterback stuff as we go throughout. I think it's fine, but not the chalk. But to your point there, JT Hayes, what about Foreman at running back? We're going to running back here anyway. I think, again, if Moore is chalky, and again, I like AP, what he said there with the way to run it out. If you like Moore and Moore gets there, if Moore puts up 25 plus points, Darnold probably had a pretty good game, assuming it was him throwing the ball, not an injury and a backup or something like that. Point being that he gets there, it's likely Darnold does. But to your point on the game plan and how they might want to run this thing out at home, is there any opportunity here with a guy like Foreman before we get into the chalk talk?
I've got recency bias on Foreman. I'm acknowledging that because I played him in that game in Seattle, and in a lineup that had a shot, he made sure it didn't, or Steve Wilkes did, because he insisted on playing Chuba Hubbard for 30% of the snaps. He insisted on getting Rashad Blackshear in there for a bunch of snaps. Mm-hmm. It's possible, but again, you look at this point in the NFL, and we were talking about this on the Old Guys pod during the week. You've got so many teams that are in running back timeshares, and Carolina is one of them. And it seems like it's a three-way share. Personally, I've been on the wrong side of the Andy Reid running back timeshare 2 weeks in a row. I think, with what Jerick McKinnon has been doing, and you see him now, he's getting 70% of the snaps. Does that change, right? So with Foreman, he's priced nicely, 5,300, but I think there are other guys in that range that I feel more confident in them getting more of the work in a similar type of script with a better defense to run against.
Yeah, a guy Allen in the chat, couple takes on that. He talked Foreman if you wanted to play him with Amon-Ra, but I actually like what he said about the other side, especially on FanDuel. Incorporate some quick FanDuel talk here before we go to these chalk plays, but just in general, like Jamal Williams, Goff being bad on the road, maybe just wanted to jam in 2 touchdowns. I think it was, he's still going, I think, for the record, or for the highest touchdowns on the season. And if you like DJ Moore, that's another way to do it where you don't need the stacks that we talked about, especially on FanDuel, a touchdown site. Moore might not break the slate or anything, but if he gets a touchdown, 6 catches for 80 yards, and then Jamal Williams jams a couple in, you don't really need stacks there, but that is a great secondary stack. It can work on both sites. I just say I do like it on FanDuel on the touchdown site. AP, come back to you. If you want to add anything on that stuff, you can, but if not, we got to talk about this. This is the CMC, Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook, Saquon Barkley. There's, it's old school DFS. If anyone who remembers Team Jam 'em in, it definitely looks like a Team Jam 'em in type of week, at least how people are building. But just want to see your thoughts there before we get into the rest of the plays here.
Yeah, I mean, running back obviously going to be priority this week, it seems like. But anytime we say that, it's like it goes the other way. So I still, I already have my main build locked in. Feel very good about it. It's a 4 wide receiver build, and I absolutely like where I'm at with it. And I have some big fades in it. Like McCaffrey isn't in it, and Henry isn't in it either. So 2 big fades, but I really like how the build sets up. Going to create a ton of leverage. Okay. I mean, man, running backs just smash against Seattle. I mean, Josh Jacobs went for a fit. Man, what was that? 3 touchdown game. Just absolutely nuked the slate. McCaffrey last week, Eckler earlier in the season. Cam Akers had a big day. I really like these KC running backs. Obviously, homer take. I know chat's going to go nuts. Pacheco flop lag, good spot. I do like McKinnon is the guy, and I love McKinnon. He's a key play for me this week too. But Pacheco was popular last week, failed. Obviously, McKinnon went off. I see all of that ownership going to McKinnon. Isn't it just natural that that's what happens, and that this week Pacheco breaks off a 40-yarder for a touchdown? it puts up over 100. That's what happens. And so, yeah, I'm going to go back to Pacheco. Am I concerned? Yeah, there's some concerns there. If he fumbles, Andy Reid might just yank him out of the game. But the guy runs hard. Andy Reid loves him, and he's going to get work here. So I'm not as concerned as others might be about like the fumble problem that he's had. And we've seen it. Like when he's fumbled in the past, Reid will go right back to him. So I think the script sets us really good for him. I think I like both running backs. I think you can make the argument to play both of them in the same lineup too. I think it's that type of slate where it could work. I also love Dalvin Cook here. He got there last year. He absolutely smashed in a script that was not favorable for him. I don't think a lot of people are talking about that and looking at it from that perspective. I think this is going to be a favorable script for him. I think they're going to be playing from a lead, and I think they're just going to get conservative and hand the ball to Dalvin Cook. I think he has a monster game. So I know like projections love McCaffrey. Projections love Henry. Give me Dalvin Cook over both those. I'll take the savings and use it elsewhere. So I'm going to get pretty different at the running back spot. The other guy I have a ton of interest in too, and I've been playing him the last few weeks, is J.K. Dobbins, man. This guy is it's good, man. He sees the field very well, runs good, he finds the holes, and he just gets upfield. And so that's what we want. Yeah. Am I concerned about Gus the Bus and the timeshare? Yeah, a little bit. We could see some vulturing there, but I think it was last week. I think I played both of them on that 3-game slate together. And obviously Gus didn't get there, but in that game just like went super fast. It was crazy. It was like a 2.5-hour game. It was absolutely nuts. But I definitely am going to go back to J.K. Dobbins here. So I'm going to keep my running back pool pretty tight. And I'm not saying I'm fully fading Henry or McCaffrey or anything like that. I find myself just getting more Dalvin Cook, and I love the KC running backs and love Dobbins.
Yeah, I love a lot of stuff. I just want one Christmas present. I want to hit 750 likes. We've got 1,100 watching, haven't even hit 300 yet, so that's hurtful. On Christmas Eve, we'll take the 3-second break here and pause. Boom, you can hit that like button. Now it's easy, so go do it. Thumbs up, bottom of the screen. If you're on a mobile phone, just bang, hit it. If you got your mouse, tap it. It's easy. Hit the like button. Then we don't have to talk about it, and we can keep talking about the plays. It's a free show. It's Christmas Eve. It's early. People are freezing. JSU was on it too. I really like that. You can almost use, if it's the RPS style here, if you guys aren't a member, sign up now. Ho, 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 25. Get you 25% off your first payment. But the Big T style of pay up at receiver this week would be very different than what everyone is doing. And the JSU player pool, I can't give it all away because it's premium. Go sign up. But I like a lot of his running back plays that fit the cheaper mold, so you can plug that build in and see how it shakes out. But Dobbins squeezed right between Pacheco and McKinnon, who obviously are great plays like AP just outlined, but you can play multiples of them together and then pay up at wide receiver. There's lots of different ways you can go, but I definitely do like the J.K. Dobbins play there down at just 5,800. No Lamar. You could go with that, run him through. I know that Andrews is cheap, and we'll talk about him later for sure. But at the same time, it also is a similar price point at a running back position that flips the build, as we've talked about on the show, where you can go to Dobbins and get a little bit different that way. I've got him in some of my main builds too this week. I have a bunch of playing in the 555 milli. I've got him in a couple of those. So I do like him here in this spot. JT Hayes, come back to you, man. Let's talk about it. I know AP mentioned it. Those guys up top, I guess if you had to pick one, again, you can definitely play both on this slate, but CMC versus Henry, I want to get your take on this one before we run down the list and go off the chalk.
Yeah, I side with Henry here. And I think Henry is a guy that is going to be a good chalk play here. They can't throw. Malik Willis is terrible. They're not going to try and throw. If they do throw, it's probably going to be to Henry. So I side with him over CMC because I think San Francisco runs away with that game. And I don't think you're going to see McCaffrey get the garbage time work. And 25 points at 8,800 is probably where he's going to end up. And I think that there are guys that are cheaper that can get you there. I like Saquon Barkley. I'm just no respect for Minnesota's defensive game planning. I like that game a bit, so I like Saquon. And then I do like J.K. Dobbins. This is a great spot for him against the Atlanta defense, who's been allowing a ton of points to running backs. I like DeAndre Swift a little bit. So we talked about Jared Goff outdoors. he tried to hit Jamison Williams deep last game, and the ball was so badly underthrown that the defender actually ran into the ball. So he didn't run into the receiver, he ran into the ball. So if Goff throws, his success is going to be underneath, and 9 targets last week for DeAndre Swift, 5,500. I like him. Somebody, I think you mentioned Jamal Williams. I think you can play Jamal Williams. And then, Nick Chubb is interesting, and he's interesting for a couple of reasons. One, the weather, the wind. Watson's been bad. It doesn't seem like the passing game is going to be optimal there. And then over the last 4 weeks, New Orleans allowing the 3rd most fantasy points to opposing running backs. It's hard to get on board with Kamara. I know that Landry is out. I know that Olave is out, but you've got Taysom Hill in there and taking some snaps. So I think for me, that's kind of the main starting points. And then maybe if I wanted to spread out and take a bigger risk, Tony Pollard, the pass catching back in Dallas, is a little bit interesting as well.
Yeah, I don't mind that. The chat has got me tilted here. Our guy Butthole is talking about playing Ritter today. I think that's a bad move. I like the Dobbins with Baltimore D call. Our guy Andrew Martinez had. You can stack that up. If you watched the game last week, Ritter is bad. Also, if you watched a couple of the games last week, you would have saw another guy the chat mentioned. I said the only thing good about him is his first name, Tyler Algier, that is. But, he ran all over these guys in New Orleans. And if he can do it, that's why I don't get it. I get the weather. I get all that. Again, we're playing DFS. Is it going to be an ugly game to watch? Yes. Are they going to run the clock out? Yes. The back and forth. Taysom's in there if you want to get excited about that. Didn't talk about him. But if you look at the spot for Chubb, off the injury report, should be fine. I don't see why they wouldn't just jam him a bunch. Again, you could try and take a shot with Hunt in that spot, but the total is still 32 and a half. They are favorited. They've got a team total there that is enough to score a couple of touchdowns. So I definitely could see Chubb at 7,700 doing damage on this slate when everyone's on the tier just one above or one below. So I really do like that. So I think he's an interesting play. He's not my favorite by any means. But the other thing too, just talking quickly about Derrick Henry, I get it. Everyone, it's almost like people are trying to talk themselves off the spot because the ownership. McCaffrey is actually, in my opinion, likely to come in even more high owned, and probably should. The way McCaffrey's playing, the way Purdy's checking it down, the targets, PPR, all that stuff. Malik Willis doesn't check it down. So Henry will lose that small amount of targets he was getting, but you can go back just to the very last game. Forget the last 4. It was with Malik Willis. It was against them. Now it is colder and it's a better spot. There's O-line issues. He's had a lot of issues with the O-line all year. I don't think Houston can stop him. So that's just my opinion. Again, you can go different spots. I'm not going to have him in every lineup or something. I've got lineups with both of them. I've got lineups with McCaffrey and Jefferson and leave Henry out and plug in the Houston D against them. Maybe Houston keeps playing good. Houston almost beat Dallas, played good against Kansas City. Maybe they come back and have another big game here. So I think that's fine. And yeah, Butthole, just to go back to your point, play Drake London doesn't mean you have to play Ritter. Drake London, look at him last week. Drake London was a fire. What did he get? 8 catches for 80 and could have done a bunch more. Like that's a fine play at $4,800. Nothing about that says you need to plug in Ritter. So it's just, that's the point about going off the chalk and this is where people go way off the chalk. They go completely out of the school, off the board, everything. They're gone, right? No chalk needed. They're gone. Another province, another state for the American watchers, which is the majority here. So I don't know, AP, anything else you want to talk about at running back? Like there's,
I guess, a question for both of you. Cause if I'm the Texans, look, I think it's almost like their defense, especially, they're like a different team than the last time they played the Titans. And that's probably in their mind too. Derrick Henry running for 200 plus, multiple touchdowns. And if I'm the Texans, I stack the box. I put everyone a man on.
They've been doing that. This is my thing about that take. Not to cut you off. Oh, they should just stack the box this time. What did they do the last 4 times? They obviously try and stop his ass. You can't. What do they say in December? It's a business decision. Try stopping Derrick Henry in this cold with him. I don't care what anybody says. If he sucks today, he sucks, but it's not about the 4-game sample. It's the take. Obviously they try to stack the box against him. It doesn't work.
It's been a while since Derrick Henry's broken a slate, so we'll see.
It's true. That is the only part I will give you from the price perspective. If it's only another 22, 24 point day, then it's not a guarantee that you need him. So you can almost take my normal take on Mahomes, where he can put up a big score, but it's not completely, going to get the job done based on how the slate plays out. So I do like that from that angle. The last guy, JT Hayes, I want to talk about here. I think people definitely want to talk about this, so I'm going to bring it up. is the Miles Sanders situation, right? We all want to get on a good flop leg spot. Jalen Hurts went off last week for 3 rushing touchdowns and got injured in the middle of it all. So maybe should have given it to my guy Sanders, who hurt my feelings last week. But I'm just saying, when you've got that perspective, people are looking at it like, okay, here's the deal about Minshew, so we can play him instead. And I see that angle. You could play Sanders with the defense, but some good points were brought up. Again, another premium feature of Run Pure Sports is the Print Factory show. And they were talking, Philly having this thing maybe locked up. Don't really need to run anybody as much. What if it's Gainwell? What if it's Scott? What if it's something totally different? So any thoughts there from you, JT Hayes, on this Miles Sanders situation? Then I'll come back to you, AP, to add in, because it is an interesting spot for this slate.
And it's not a great spot for Sanders. It's not a great spot for opposing running backs. It actually lends credence to playing Minshew, because where you have been having success against Dallas is with this secondary, right? And so Sanders will catch a couple of balls, but I also think Gainwell is I don't know. You mentioned Gainwell before the show, and I hadn't really thought about him. And my first reaction was it's kind of a thin play on this slate. But then we've only mentioned like 5 or 6 running backs. So it's not like there's a plethora of running backs here. There's a lot of high-priced, very talented guys, but you're paying $9K, close to $9K for Christian McCaffrey in a matchup against the Commanders. And I don't know, San Francisco's been so good. I just don't know how that game stays all that close. We've been talking about Derrick Henry. Look, teams have been stacking the box against this team all season, whether it was Ryan Tannehill and Malik Willis. They haven't been able to throw the ball. They've got no receivers. It's been Derrick Henry all season. If he fails somehow, or if he only gets 20, yeah, you're in good position. But you've got to find the guy who's going to do more than that for your lineups. And as we've been talking through it, it's kind of thin this week. So I think you can play Gainwell. I think you can take some shots there. I mean, I think you can get, as you would say, out of the state here and play some of these really off the board plays and maybe find success. So yeah, absolutely.
With this weather, a lot of people want to get out of state, out of country. Even in some cases, I see people taking off. AP, come back to you real quick on that before we go to wide receivers. Any thoughts on that Philly backfield? Or even if you want to add in any more thoughts on this game in general, I was just quickly thinking about it. And like we've said all season that Philly is a bit overrated due to the schedule, and seeing all that stuff based on, the fact that Hurts has the MVP ride because the easy schedule. Dallas is maybe for real. I don't know, but they could be seen as overrated as well. But this spot, Parsons is going to go. Diggs is going to go. They got their full defense there. Their defense is discounted. We'll get there later to play against Hurts. Hurts is out. What if Dallas just stomps them here?
They are going to stomp them.
What's that?
They are going to stomp them. So I think there's going to be a lot of stomping this week. So I'm with you there, Tambo. And then, were you on the Dallas stomp or were you not?
That's what I'm kind of thinking about. Yeah, I love the show because the more we talk through it, the more you start to get these thoughts clear and you remember things from past shows. And
so
go ahead.
My thing though, just to wrap up, we're kind of forgetting something. We have multiple positions, okay? Like just because I'm fading Henry, what does that allow me to do? It allows me to get Justin Jefferson, allows me to get Stephon Diggs, who I think is in an awesome spot and no one's going to play. Like I love these high-priced receivers this week because everyone's so scared of the weather and they don't want to play the receivers. It's a receiver league. That's where I think the upside is. So I'm just going to take the leverage there.
Yeah, and I agree with you there, and that's a good segue over to wide receiver, but that's the point of, like what you were saying, and I said this too, is if I'm off, I love the build with CMC, Justin Jefferson, and the Texans D. It covers me from all angles. It makes sense across the board. You can fit in whatever stacks you want that we talked about already. But to me, that just makes a lot of sense because, again, like you said, Houston has been playing better. What if it does work out? What if that O-line does fail Henry? I was just making the point that I'm not going to go completely off Henry. I know you said it too. I'm not off him completely, but I'm not. A lot of the takes against him, to me, aren't really the best presented because it's like, yeah, they're going to try and stack the box. That doesn't mean it's going to work. And when it's even colder out and Willis is there and all that, Willis, to me, he got 32 rush attempts with Willis last time. I don't care about look, it wasn't until this season when Henry finally started getting his 2 to 4 targets a game. Like that's some incredible feat. We've been saying he should get targets for years, but when you have that in there, sometimes it can change it up too, where now they have to adjust a little bit more and see him with Willis being a little bit more mobile. Maybe there's chances of that way too. I don't know how it's going to play out, but I do like what you said there. I think it's a great segue over. AP, I'll go right back to you with wide receiver because Jefferson actually has got steamed up. I don't know if I believe all these ownerships on every position because we know CMC and Henry, but then I think one of Barkley or Cook, likely Barkley, to be honest, is the guy that gets squeezed at running back. At wide receiver, I think we know DK Metcalf at just $7,100 with no Lockett is getting the love for real. Some of the cheaper guys on the Giants, DJ Moore, of course, at just $5,500 in that slot matchup, the premium setup he's got there. But talk to me about wide receiver and some of those guys I just mentioned up at the top.
Yeah, I don't like DK Metcalf as much as like a lot of other people do. We talk about this quite often, like in NBA, when a key guy is out, the usage transfers over to other players. You know, you got 5 guys on the team, or on the court. It's not typically like it doesn't work the same in the NFL. Like the Chiefs now can key in on DK Metcalf, take him away. Spagnuolo, like I see Spagnuolo just like blitzing and taking away DK Metcalf. That's what I see him doing today. So I'm not going to play that chalk. I'm just going to move off and hope that KC owns them. That's just kind of what I see happening. I'm all right. So last week we talked. I was super high on Jalen Hurts, and I loved against the Cowboys. I love Jalen Hurts and then pairing with Miles Sanders. So just like a rushing attack is kind of what I saw happening there. I was kicking myself because I should have just stacked him with AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, who both went nuclear, absolutely off against a really bad Bears defense. And then you got Justin Fields too. And the reason why having Justin Fields in the game is important is because he's going to keep it competitive. That's what we want. That benefits the other side of this. So what I'm getting at, I love Allen to Diggs and Davis. No one's going to play it. I don't think they're worried about the weather and stuff. Gabe Davis, 5K, Diggs, 8,500. No one's going to play him. That's a stack that I think has a ton of upside on this slate that, and if you do it with a double there, you don't have to run it back with anyone, but you got Byron Pringle. The guy's like good at finding the end zone. At least he was in Kansas City. I think he has a touchdown or 2 with the Bears. You got Dante Pet. You got I only want one run back, just one, because I don't trust the Bears side as much. You could even run it back with David Montgomery, a guy that they're using very heavily. The Bills defense hasn't been as good. So this is a game I want. I want Allen. I think an Allen double is going to be very unique. So those are 2 receivers I have a ton of interest in. My main routes, though, are back to the Panthers-Lions game. Amon-Ra St. Brown, one of my favorite receivers this week. JTA, it's your boy, some guy named Amon-Ra St. Brown. The targets are just insane. I love the matchup. I love the correlation playing them with DJ Moore on the other side. So 2 receivers I'm very high on. And the other thing, too, so I talked about fading or being under on Danny Dimes, Kirk Cousins. I'm still getting exposure to that game. I'm just not fully stacking it because I think that's going to be popular. I'm still playing Justin Jefferson. The guy's an absolute stud. If I'm going like the wide receiver 2 route for the Vikings, it's KJ Osborne for me over Adam Thielen. I think KJ Osborne looks like a stud. We've seen the production tick up too, especially like when Justin Jefferson was out, like when he was in the medical tent last week for a little bit. We saw Cousins lock in on KJ Osborne, it seemed like Adam Thielen seems like the 3rd receiver there, if anything. And then Darius Slayton. I'm not going to play Richie James, Isaiah Hodge, like these other chalk cheap guys for the Giants. If they beat me, they beat me. I'll be at church, Christmas with the family. I'll be celebrating, drinking, and that will be my day. But I'm not gonna play those guys. If Richie James beats me, he beats me. I do like Darius Slayton though, man. I think he has a ton of upside here. So love the Slayton Jefferson combo. But man, I think at the receiver position this week, there's going to be ways to get some nice leverage. And I think it's the games we talked about there. My one concern, I'm under on the Bengals today. I do think I could get, Jamar Chase. I'm a little worried about not having any Jamar Chase, but I do want to kind of dial things in, and I want to focus on the Bills game, that stack there, and then obviously the Lions and Panthers. So it's kind of where I'm at the receiver spot.
Yeah, and I like a bunch of those calls. The Slayton one for sure. Darius break the Slayton, as I trademarked earlier this season, is definitely a possibility. 5,200, like that spot. If you're stacking that up, that's what I said earlier. I know it's kind of got there with the chalk, but I don't know, man. The way I see everybody else talking about their builds and everything I've listened to, if you got Cousins, Jefferson, Hawkinson, Slayton, you can still get different in other places. And if it is just the best spot, it's the best spot. So we'll see how the slate shakes out, but I definitely do like that call. I like Hodgins. I know you didn't love him down there, but at 4,100, he's been a thing since he's been brought over. Was with Buffalo, with Dayball, came over. He's got like 15, 15, and 8 or something in his 3 starts. They use him in the red zone. I don't hate that either. Again, just in this environment, anything could happen. So we'll see how it shakes out there. These guys are a little bit popular up at the top. You mentioned Chase. I also built, again, talking about flipping the build, I built some lineups with Chase and Jefferson instead of Henry and CMC. And then you go to some of those backs we talked about, right, AP? You talked about McKinnon and Pacheco. We talked about Dobbins. We talked about some of those guys. You want to use Sanders, or whoever you decide to use, Gainwell. I didn't talk earlier a bunch about this, but another couple of guys for FanDuel that I like, Singletary over there is one, and I'll bring it back to wide receiver here, but AP, you mentioned it. When we get to defense, I actually think the Bears D at 2,000 even is getting played some, and it's not like they can't get there and Josh Allen can go off. But if you talked about you are playing Josh Allen, you got Josh Allen, Diggs, Davis, Knox. If you want to use Beasley or McKenzie, go ahead. But honestly, I think you're already different enough just by using the good plays on Buffalo, and they're nowhere to be found in this upper range. One of the best quarterbacks in the league. It's the top 2 in Mahomes and Allen. You've got Allen with his receivers not being used pretty much at all on this slate. You can run it back with a cheap Chicago option if you want, but you do not have to. It's just if that makes it work, by all means, go ahead. Gabe Davis, only 5,000. This is the time we want to play a Gabe Davis, when nobody is talking about him, not when he's on a 3-game slate at 5,300 and is 25% owned. So that one stood out to me a little bit. Some of the Dallas guys, like I mentioned, Lamb, Gallup, Brown, go back to them. The New England guys, if you want some cheapies, and Myers and Aguilar, I see as interesting. Terrace Marshall Jr. as a cheapie. And then the Washington guys, JT, I'll come back to you with that. You got Dotson. You got Samuel in that slot matchup. You got a lot of different stuff that you can do down there. And, of course, the Cincy guys I mentioned, but T. Higgins, 7,000. Much better when Chase is out there. So just some interesting notes. Also, if Belichick wants to shut down or try and shut down, it may be a Derrick Henry situation where he just can't stop a guy like Chase. But the point being, I like Higgins for a little bit of the discount. JT Hayes, what say you here at this wide receiver position?
Yeah, we'll start with Washington. I think the best receivers for Washington today are going to be the San Francisco secondary. So I'm going to be mostly off of Washington there. I like DJ Moore. I like Slayton quite a bit. And I do like Diggs, Stephon Diggs for Buffalo. A little bit concerned about some of these secondary pieces. They did elevate Cole Beasley to the active roster. I don't think that he's going to play a lot of snaps, but I do think that there's some impact there. And really, it's probably more to Isaiah McKenzie than to anybody else. So I don't think it's going to impact Diggs. I don't think it's going to impact Gabe Davis as much. And I do like Metcalf a little bit. We all have our teams, but you would be shocked if I came in here saying I think Arthur Smith is going to put together a good offensive game plan. Steve Spagnuolo, I'm not worried about that defensive game plan. It's been bad all year. And I don't know that they're going to be able to stop DK Metcalf. I think DK is okay.
Okay. Yeah. At the ownership, I personally don't love him. I didn't talk about fully yet, but just in general, if I'm playing DK Metcalf, it's in the game stack. I'm going everything. Geno, Metcalf, Goodwin. Run it back with Juju, Pacheco, or McKinnon. Let me get after that game on the side where I feel comfortable that the box score won't show 12 guys like Mahomes' box score will show, because he passes 130 yard to this guy, 140 yard to that guy, 20 yards to this guy. It's just all across the board. It's hard for me to get right. I like AP's take earlier. If you're playing them, stack them up with Kelsey, maybe some of the guys like Juju or someone you feel comfortable with, and just take the stand. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. At least that's the case if you want to go that way. Not much else that I have here. Guys, almost 1,400 watching. Said it in the chat. Full Grinch mode today. Taking me out of my zone, taking me out of my mood here. Not even 500 likes yet. Extremely hurtful on Christmas Eve. You heard the song, All I Want for Christmas? All I want for Christmas is these 750 likes. All you guys want for Christmas is these 750 likes, because I absolutely will cut off the plays of the day. Who cares? Full hoop mode now, threatening people on Christmas Eve. Hate to see it, but it's easy. It literally takes 2 seconds to stop. Click the like button. If you want these free shows and you want more of them, you have to understand the algorithm. You hit the like button. It puts this show into more places. More people see it. It's better for us. Help you. It's that easy. Hit the like button. AP, anything else at wide receiver you want to talk about before we go to tight end?
No, I think we summed it up pretty good.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of options there that we went through and just go, all the other stuff. But, like I said, at tight end, we do have a little bit of congested ownership at the top, at least. It seems obviously focused on that Minnesota game. So you got Hawkinson at just 4,900. Dalton Schultz is 4,200. After that, it kind of spreads out some. Kelce will come in lower than you would expect, and, somewhere in that 12 to 15 range. But we'll see how it shakes out. What's your thoughts here at this tight end position?
Yeah, I mean, it starts with Kelce, who's should be very, very under-owned, you would think. I mean, you're just like looking at box scores outside of last game. Like he struggled there for a little bit, but man, he's a guy that can absolutely separate at the position. I do think in this spot, he needs to get it done early, though. That's like my one concern. You're paying $8K for Travis Kelce. You're going to want a lot of separation. So I do find myself like spending down. Jordan Akins, man, tight ends against the Titans has been a thing. I think Davis Mills has a nice little connection there with Jordan Akins coming off a decent game last week, 2,900. 6 targets last week, 3 receptions, 22 yards against KC. But I think it's a good spot for him. 2,900, I think, is a very nice, cheap price tag that we can go to. TJ Hawkinson, like my one concern, I'm going to have some TJ Hawkinson. Man, the targets are just insane. Like one of these games, he's gonna get that touchdown and he's going to put up a nice score. Could come here against the Giants for sure. So I think TJ Hawkinson, definitely a fine play. Really curious to see what you guys have to say about Dallas Goedert. I think that's a guy that gets steamed up just because I think people look back at that. I think a lot of people are going to look back at that Gardner Minshew to Goddard winning whistles $1 million, and they're going to want to,
I don't think anyone even knows that happened. I only know because I was at the live final.
People were talking about it in Discord earlier. Like they were talking about Minshew's game where he nuked with Goddard. So people
it makes sense. I trust me. I mean, you can get different with it. Go to Devontae Smith. I thought was interesting at the previous position, but yeah, just in general, he's looking like 10 to 12%. But I don't think it's a bad play. You can play Minshew naked and get different because what if it's as simple as Schultz beats Goddard in the same game? And that's kind of a stack where if Minshew does his job, maybe it's him and maybe you just don't need the stacking pieces. But I agree with you. Like people are definitely playing him. It's just in general, I'm not sure how many will do that. The chat is just killing me right now, JT. Talk to us, JT. Give us the right eye wink. They said, make sure you're okay.
Oh, it's fantastic.
What was the saying? The chat was looking for some Dr. Seuss earlier with the Grinch mode. We got to come up with something. It's going to be hit the like, 750 is the goal. If not, no plays of the day, only Cole. So hit that like button. Cole. We got to get to 750. Make it easy on us, guys. We're almost to 600 with these poems and rants. It's very simple. Let's not go Grinch mode on Christmas Eve. Let's have fun. It's going to be a family day, a fun day, a giblets day. Before the turkey tomorrow, we're going to get the giblets today. So let's do that. JT, I'll come back to you with the tight end position. What are you doing here with this spot?
Yeah. So it's interesting because Kansas City, Travis Kelce, Seattle's given up the most fantasy points to opposing tight ends both the last 4 weeks and most of the season. So you have to think it's a get right spot for Kelce. If you're playing Kelce, then you're sacrificing elsewhere, right? That's going to take you off of either Jefferson or off of Henry or McCaffrey or something like that. But I think the upside is there. The upside has been there in the past. When these guys connect, when Mahomes locks in on Kelce, Kelce has these big games. So I think you could play Kelce. I like him. I'm going to see what lineups look like with him and then gravitate from there. Agree with AP. Very sharp call on Jordan Akins here. Randone is in chat talking about the Texans defense, which, I mean, look, it's interesting to play maybe Akins and the Texans defense here and hope that they can limit Henry because that they're, the Tennessee Titans aren't going to be able to do anything else besides Derrick Henry. So that's certainly an interesting play. And then you've got Hawkinson in that game. He's going to be very, very popular. I don't know if Dalton Schultz is going to be as popular, but this is, again, a really good spot for him. Flop lag here. He disappointed a lot of people last week in a game in Jacksonville. Goddard, interesting. I don't know what his usage is going to be like. This is his first game in quite some time coming back. So I have some interest in him, but honestly, I think there are safer spots in terms of knowing what kind of usage and workload we're going to see.
Yeah, what about this, AP? Noah Fant or Noah Gray? The backup to your boy Kelsey. The chat was talking about it. Any love for Noah Gray? I'll focus more on him.
No, I mean, it's look, like if you're playing him, they'll understand his upside, his ceiling is literally like maybe 2 catches for 20 yards and a touchdown, like a gimmicky play type of thing, which at 2,600, I think we'd take it. So again, that's like what I see from Kansas City is just, well, why you talk about it all the time. If you're playing Mahomes, you're not necessarily worried about you pair him with Kelsey if you want. That's like the safest route there, or McKinnon, to be honest. Like that connection is very high. Outside of that, very volatile situation. Between Juju and MVS, Tony. I mean, they got Watson in there who's like in on every play. Noah Gray, Travis Kelsey, just a lot of different options.
Yeah, I think so. I looked at it, like I said earlier, the one thing I would bring up was the double tight end in the game stacks, right? Like I said, I actually work it out. The idea, what I'm doing when I'm building my stuff is trying to find the best projection with lower ownership, a way that's built that others aren't doing it. And even if you have a similar type build set, you still have a spot how you can set it up. And I came to some with Bellinger and Hawkinson that fit everything else that I wanted. So I just make note of that. That's definitely a way to get different on this slate. Again, Bellinger is probably thin at 3,300, but when you think of the perspective of, okay, if you don't want to play the cheap Richie James, you can play him instead and save $600. And really, I've been there. I think it was a 3-game slate. I can't remember what it was. And Richie James got, maybe it was an American Thanksgiving. Richie James got the last second touchdown to get to 8 or 10 points. That's all I'm saying here is if Bellinger gets me the same 8 to 10 points and it makes the game stack work that goes off and then you fit the running backs you want and the defense and all those factors, I definitely like it. So I don't got any problem with that. Just going down the list, looking at some of the other spots. If you wanted to play, like I said, I think Noah Fant is going to be good to go. I didn't check the latest, but if not, you could play Disley there. That's just in those game stacks. Jordan Akins was the other one. I know our guy K Falik always has love for Jordan Akins. Him and I were sweating him a little bit at the live final, talking about him at the King of the Beach. Didn't play him, but I thought about it. And if you got this guy in there at 2,900, you can also have him as a secondary stack with Derrick Henry. Don't have to. You can just play him in the Houston D. You can just play him. Lots of different ways that you could use him. And then Cole Kmet. We didn't talk about Fields a lot earlier, but you don't have to talk about Fields. Just saying you go Fields, Kmet with Gabe Davis or Diggs. You could go Allen double stack using Diggs, Davis, and Kmet. You could just say, hey, it's cold out. Maybe Allen rushes a couple in. We saw, who was it last week? Somebody rushed all over these guys and just jammed a few in. You could have a spot where you go Allen, pick a receiver, Diggs or Davis, and Kmet. No one's really doing that. And those are all good spots. And don't forget, it's not like Kmet. Well, here's an example I'll say on Kmet to round it out. And we'll go round it out the show with defense. But the spot, remember the Millie Maker winner, guys? The week that the first time Tyler Conklin was in it. And there was a bunch of injuries and everyone was trying to play Garrett Wilson and Elijah Moore and Denzel Mims and all these plays that didn't work out. And it ended up being Tyler Conklin. This week, not that they're going there crazy, but when you've got Pettis and you've got Pringle and guys like that, what if it just ends up being Kmet in a good spot here against Buffalo? Like I think it could be, and he is 4,400 squeezed right there between Dalton Schultz and Dallas Goedert. So if you want a guy that you can use down there, I think that's a pretty interesting play. You could also secondary stack him on a site like FanDuel with Singletary and Kmet and pick up some stuff that way. Because again, touchdown site. What if Singletary just slams in a couple and they keep Josh Allen fresh? Maybe they do that and you see a spot where that works. So not much else for me to add there. We're about 125 likes away. So 1,500 watching. If you guys want them, this is it. We're on defense. Like I said, I don't mind putting them in the premium Discord. Treat our members right on Christmas Eve. That'll be a nice present for them. Not so much for the 1,500 watching that don't know what a thumbs up button is or don't want to hit it. So JT Hayes, I'll come back to you, man. Defense. One thing I will say about it, it's more spread out than usual. So we don't have the 40% slam play, but you do have a bunch of plays between the Ravens, the Cowboys, the Eagles, the Bears, the Saints, all these teams, the Texans. There is like 5 spots here that you can find to go to. So any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think there's options, pay down options. We talked about the Texans. Texans are 2,500, excuse me. And then for just $100 more, the cheapest we've seen them all season, probably going to be somewhat popular, the Dallas Cowboys, 2,600 against the backup there. And then if you wanted to pay up, You got the Ravens in a very good matchup against a not only a rookie quarterback, but a rookie quarterback who plays in a dome in a very cold outdoors game, right? I had talked about this a couple of weeks in a row now. Dome teams going outdoors, the opposing defense. And then I've been playing these guys a lot. They're expensive. They're not going to be very highly owned. If you want to get a little bit different, they've served us pretty well recently. Go right back to the 49ers, 3,900 in a good matchup against Taylor Heineke. He likes to throw it around.
Yeah, I definitely like that call. That was one of the pay up ones I said this week. I made a lot of money this season. It's tough to get up to 3,900, but going against Heineke, you're definitely going to have some opportunity there. So I think that one's good. And if you want to play it with CMC, you could also do that. I also think another one that's not being talked about is just Tennessee. Houston could definitely come back down to earth. There's talk of multiple quarterbacks getting mixed into the bunch. If you wanted to run Henry differently, pair it up with the Tennessee D at 2,500, who, while they're in that same range everyone's going to, they look to be like the 6th or 7th owned. So just another way to get different to go against Houston there. JT Hayes, or sorry, AP, I'll come back to you. Defense, what do you got here at this spot to round out the show?
Yeah, defense. I mean, we talk about it every week, how much we love playing defenses. But no, I like cheapies. I got to be in the 2K range. I like the Cowboys. I like the Chiefs. Man, I was looking at the Texans, but I'm just, man, I like the opportunity. Will it really be there to generate turnovers, interceptions, and stuff? Like, I just don't see them throwing the ball. So you're relying really on them shutting them out or Henry fumbling, or, I mean, I just saw, I'm kind of backed off of the Texan defense just a little bit. But like the Chiefs, like the Cowboys. So probably we'll be eating some chalk at the defensive spot.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that to an extent, like with the Malik Willis thing. I totally agree there because we've talked about it in other spots these past couple of weeks and, maybe less opportunities. I guess the angle is, though, if you're not playing Henry and you think it's because Houston finally shows up and, completes the job of how good they've been playing lately, then you would think they almost have to make decisions like that. Like Vrabel, I don't think is just going to lay down and die in that spot. He'll just make it work, see what he's got. I don't think he has much, but we'd have to see, and it could lead to some mistakes. And again, at 2,500, how much do we really need? I'm not sure. But like you said, if the Cowboys smash $2,600 for them going up against Minshew, no better way to get leverage against somebody on the slate really than those couple options there with the Texans versus Henry and the Cowboys against Minshew. Just under 700 likes, so we don't have the like button there. And we had some good plays of the day, but I have to go full Grinch mode. The next show is coming up. You're going to hit the like button for those guys anyway, so hopefully those guys want to give it to you. JT Hayes, we'll give him a final shot when we do final thoughts. Any final thoughts from you, JT Hayes, before we get out of here?
No, one thought, I'm seeing it in chat now. Interesting talking about the Commanders defense. Chase Young is back for that game. You've got Brock Purdy, but Brock Purdy's been pretty good. So I think they're going to lean a lot more heavily on the run there in San Francisco as well. And to the point on the Texans defense, they did force a fumble last week. They got a fumble out of Pacheco. So, look, it's 2,500. If you want to pay down and it makes everything else work, I think it's fine, but I also think it's easy to find the $100 to get up to Dallas.
Yeah, and we'll give him 2 more minutes here because we got it left. But AP, one thing that did come up in the chat wasn't talked about, not defense-based. We didn't talk about Shaheed. So Shaheed is still priced down at wide receiver. He is in that matchup. We did talk a little bit about Chubb, that weather matchup, I should say, where people are worried. Any thoughts on him just because can he get those, will the catches add up to be enough still? It doesn't really seem like the game flow would set up for, sort of a deep shot or anything there, but can he rack up enough with the 2 guys that he has out at the position already? Does he make sense?
I'm not gonna get there like him and who was the other? Richie James. I just those chalky cheap receivers. I'm not going to be playing this week, and I'm off that game. That's the one spot I'm worried about. So I wouldn't go there for the receiver spot. So I'll be off of Rashid.
Got it. All right. Tambo Claus is back. We got close. We're 730 last minute. Can't be the Scrooge of the week. Can't be Grinch mode. So JT Hayes, if you're still ready for it, let the people know the play of the day. What do you got?
Yeah. I think, it's interesting at the running back position. Talked about a couple of these pay down guys. We haven't seen a ceiling here in a while, but I do think it's interesting here just with the fact that the weather, the passing offense just missed 100 yards last week. Hadn't been in the end zone in a little while. I think it's a Nick Chubb day. Nick Chubb.
I love it. That's a
7,700.
great call. Like I said, again, their team total is enough to get him plenty of points here. And he's, again, squeezing the ranges of the McKinnons and down and the 8K guys and up. Basically, he's also $500 more than Cook, which people are playing there for good reason in that spot. Cook can have a absolutely huge day. AP, what do you got? Your play of the day, and then I'll take us home.
Yeah, man, I'm gonna give a stack, really contrarian stack. People worried about the weather in this spot. I mean, it is a little bit of a concern, but the leverage that we're gonna get is just phenomenal. And we saw what Hurts did last week against this Bears defense. Absolutely lit them up, got whatever he wanted through the air. So I'm factoring in the leverage and weighing it with the risk, and I think it's an elite spot. Josh Allen to Stephon Diggs to Gabe Davis, nukes the slate.
I like that, man. That's like you said, that's the top topic of the day. If you know, Josh Allen usually would be popular. We know he can play in the cold. We know he's got the weapons. Nobody's playing any of them. And even on the other side, people are playing the Bears D, which could still get there in this spot. Don't get me wrong. They can put you 8 to 10 points for $2,000 and make it all work. But it is an interesting thing to set it up there. So love that call. We got Chubb. We got Josh Allen and co. I'm going to give you my final play of the day. The initials, the acronym, CMC. Christmas, money, cash. You want money, you play CMC. Don't care that he's chalk. Play him as all your lineups. I don't care what you do. He's the spot. $8,800. You play him. If you got to choose between him and Henry, I'm going with him. It's going to be the two of them in some of the lineups for me, but McCaffrey is the guy you're going to want to play today. He's going to crush with Purdy. Just keep checking it down all day long. JTA's talked about the running game. Pair him up with the San Francisco D if you want to get different. Use them in a secondary stack with Dotson or Samuel if you want to have a way to set it up. Both sites don't care. On FanDuel, he's actually $400 cheaper than Henry, so a great option there as well. That's going to do it for us, guys. Stick around 6 to midnight. We got the Morning Wood up next. We'll see you guys all next time. Happy holidays to everyone. Thanks for watching with us. For JT Hayes, for AP, for myself, Toe Tag, and Tambo. Helmet, get us out of here, man. What's up, guys? Tambo here with your weekly core report. We had some nice hits across sports last week, and an RPS contributors heater continued. Let's get to the winners. We kick things off with NHL, where our content has been producing some big winners, including our own Jared Kimball, who shipped a seat to the DraftKings NHL Live Final. Wire Rich also hit an NHL recently for over $9K. At Rum Pure Sports, our talent roster is loaded with winners. K Falik has been contributing cores to our members since day one and has been on an epic heater recently. K Falik had success in MMA recently, hitting for 10K. In NBA, he has also been crushing on FanDuel, hitting for 20K, and then running it back with an 18K shipper, including his first FanDuel NBA Live Final seat. K Falik's NBA core also helped Bogard Jr. ship for 40K on FanDuel. And K Falik wasn't the only one shipping in NBA. Jackson used C-Dome and Draft Cheats advice on our free NBA show to ship for 23K. RPS had a nice showing in the DraftKings NFL Finals this past weekend, with both members and contributors participating in the annual event. Big T and myself hit for 20K. Locks won 50K. D. Kafer hit for 70K. Tiger Ball 23 hit for 100K, while RPS member Mr. Panther had a huge $150,000 day. Our showdown content has had a ton of success this season and continued in week 15. Big T nailed his 49ers core as usual, featuring his Guy Kittle in the captain, along with CMC and Brock Purdy. Tony rode this core to an 81K night and was joined by our members. Arha00 hit for 2K. Rip City turned $148 into over $10K, and A. Crowdy turned $34 into over $10K as well. And our guy Snyder nailed his Trevor Lawrence call as a guest on our Sunday morning Off the Chalk show.
I really like Trevor Lawrence as a mid-tier QB this week. He's been the third fastest in average time to throw the ball at 2.4 seconds, which is going to be huge against this pass rush, I think.
You want to be featured in the Core Report? Drop your winning lineup in the Members Never Win channel in our premium Discord. If you're not a member, join now. You won't find a better value, all sports included, for one low price. Till next time, let's keep running pure.
You didn't know? Your ass better call somebody.
It's me. It's that B-I-G-T.
Hello, everybody. What is going on? Merry Christmas Eve and happy Saturday. Welcome to the Morning Wood over here on Run Pure Sports. We got Santa Hoop. We got Tony the Grinch. What is going on, guys? Hoop, how is your Saturday?
How's my Saturday? Yeah, it's going well. Christmas Eve, so Merry Christmas to everyone out there. Hopefully you have some time to spend with the family and whatnot. Should be a good day. We have a ton of stuff from a sports betting, fantasy perspective the next couple of days. Full NFL slate. We got Showdown tonight. We have a 3-game NFL slate tomorrow, and then the 5-game NBA slate, which the NBA's got to be pretty pissed off that the NFL rolled into town on Christmas Day and said, hey, you know what, we're just going to have some NFL games all day long. So, fuck your 5-game NBA schedule.
Yeah, they don't give a shit about NBA. They said we run this shit, and that's how it is. Tony, how you doing, man? Did you get all the kids' presents?
No, but my wife did, hopefully. We should be good in that aspect. But actually, I think she said she's got to go get one more thing. So she's going to brave the elements. I'm sure your guys' houses are both a disaster, too. Yeah. Freaking disaster here.
Oh, yeah. Like, if I were to move, you would see all of my kids' presents totally unwrapped. Like, I haven't wrapped a single thing yet. Like, it's going to be... Yeah, no, it's going to be – he's with his mom tonight. So I've got tonight – he's coming over tomorrow for Santa stuff. So I got family stuff from 11 o'clock today until about 9 p.m. So I got like 10 hours of family stuff. I'm going to come home, wrap some gifts, count my giblets that I won on this slate today. It's going to be a good time.
I like that.
Sounds
That's
like
a good plan.
I want to do that today.
You know what else I like? I like that beanie, Tony. Show that bad boy off.
Yeah.
Yeah,
pretty nice. They're just in. I think we've already sold like half of them, Amber said, or something.
Damn, I gotta get my order in. I went direct text to Mrs. Big T in hopes of getting a overnight package.
You got to slide in.
It out. She probably did if you asked.
Yeah.
You got to slide into those DMs.
I surpassed the DMs and went to a straight direct text. I figured I had a better chance that way.
You got to be more subtle than that, man. Like, you never know if Mr. Tony's going to check those text messages.
I had to risk it. I had to risk it all. I mean, look how good that beanie looks on Big T's head.
If anyone's sliding in, I'm not seeing it.
Perfect. Now we know, Crane. Now we know.
Risk it for the biscuit. And I like that Chris in the chat. He's saying, I don't even know what my kids got. All I saw was the credit card statements. Yeah. That's awesome because you get like an extra Christmas. Yeah, you get the extra Christmas. You can find. Oh yeah, it's like you get to open presents all over again. That's good times. Yeah. Wow, that beanie is huge, guys. That's just Tony's head. That's
not saying it. It's huge. I'll tell you that much.
Fits snug down low as well too, right?
I swear, if Tony just stands up and he's got nothing but a beanie on, like that would be the greatest Christmas present, man.
Get that volume up. You guys can't hear me? Is my volume low?
I got you fine. I think it's fine.
Yeah.
What's the dude in chat? Chat's acting like they can't hear me. Hammer said it. Volume up. Yeah. What's that mean?
He's the only one. So
you can't hear me?
It's good on my end.
Yeah, no, I can hear you just fine. So.
Yeah, but as good as that beanie looks on the top head, I don't know about the bottom head, but the top head of Big T, I had to risk it. I had to risk the direct text message to Mrs. Big T to see if I could get something here, before the new year.
They are actually. They are, in all seriousness. I do really like them. They're nice.
Dude, I'll tell you one of the nice things about the Run Pure merch is that like it's very clearly quality stuff.
I'm making a point of it. Hoop knows
Yeah.
this as the finance guy of Run Pure. I say we got to sacrifice a couple dollars. We can't be sending out these damn cotton shirts and like stuff that people won't wear. We need good stuff.
That is the worst from like a reputable company. Like when they send you gear and it's just the piece of shit like Hanes shirt, like the stiff cotton crap. Like I can't. I mean, that's like just that is like a Limp Biscuit type situation. Like you do not. You get excited for the gear, then it comes in and it's shitty. Like fuck, man. That's
even worse when you like the shirt. Like you're excited for the gear. It's there. You get ready to put it on. It looks sweet, and then you're like, ooh, straight cotton. You got no chance.
Yeah,
yeah. Well, I mean, I'll tell you, I do after my kid goes to bed, I usually snuggle up on the couch and watch a TV show or watch a movie or something. I've been snuggled up to that Run Pure Sports blanket. I'm not even
blanket.
making that up.
That blanket is nice too.
Quality,
nice blanket.
Yep. I got my DraftKings VIP blanket too, and that's just sitting on the side. Like I haven't even touched that. I'm just like, man, I got my blankets.
Part about that, Craig, is it's the same blanket because we used the DK rep to get the blanket.
I haven't opened up the blanket yet.
It's the same one.
I'm just gonna have to put that in. I'll tell you, I need a blanket in my kids' room for the chair in there because I got to sit in there sometimes. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put the DK blanket in there.
Literally the exact same blanket, just different color.
Oh, that's money, man.
So you're a blanket. You're a blanket guy at in the evening, Crane.
I wasn't until I got this blanket. I'm not even kidding. Like I never messed with blankets, and now I'm just like, man, this thing is nice. I picked it up the other day, shook it out because there were a couple like old popcorn kernels in there. Like it's been good times over in the Crane households. We've been enjoying this winter. We've been enjoying this cold. I was gonna ask, by the way, you guys are a little bit further north than I am. Hoop, like you're a skinny dude, man. Like how do you survive in this shit?
Yeah, it's not enjoyable. It was like I don't know.
He's saying you can't bench 135. Now he's calling you.
Well, he knows that. Yeah, he knows that part's not true anymore. I mean, he definitely knows that part is not true. I mean, I'll go shirtless if you want, Crane. I mean, I can. Wow. I'll just go straight Santa hat. No top. But yeah, it's fucking cold, man. I hate this shit. Like I can't stand it. I mean, last year. Mrs. Hoop for Christmas got me one of those expensive ass coats that I'll like never wear. So I actually busted it out yesterday. One of those, the Canadian Goose or whatever. I think it was like the second time I ever wore it. Those things keep you warm. I'll tell you that much. I went outside for a little bit yesterday. Those Goose coats definitely keep you warm. So I had that going. I'm not like a cold weather type person. I can't stand this shit. So it was hard to stay warm, but that jacket did help a little bit. That's for sure.
I just love that the chat thinks I'm just giving Hoop shit. I'm like, like
you've been on him hard this year. I like it.
You got to keep me in check, man. Got to keep me in check. That's for sure. Yeah, I mean, you can't assume a guy like Hoop can bench 135. I'm with you. I mean, I'm with you on that. You got to make me prove it a little bit out here.
Tony, I'm not even worried about you, man. You're built thick. You can't be that cold.
I'm still plenty cold when I go outside. I'll tell you that much.
Not cold when he hops in that hot tub.
True, I feel good in that. This is hot tub season right now, man. If you're freezing outside, pop the Run Pure beanie on and hop in the old tub.
I think Mrs. Hoop may have slid into Big T's Snapchat DMs because she hit me up. She goes, "Man, Tony, that beanie must be keeping Tony warm because he's in the tub with the beanie on right now."
Yeah. Oh man, this should be warm. The only problem is you can't bring the wife up to the top rope when it's too cold. You got to keep her down low.
Yeah.
Jesus. All right.
The chat's loving the Capri Sun. Yeah. You gotta love the Capri Sun, chat.
How many Capri? I mean, you got like 17 kids. How many Capri Suns do you keep in the house?
We usually actually don't. I was pleasantly surprised when I saw it in there. We don't usually have the Capri Suns that much.
You're gonna have a kid storming in about midway through the show. Where's my Capri Sun?
No, the funny part was when I was coming in, she saw it. She's like, "That was my Capri Sun." I said,
"Did get called out for it." That's great.
Yeah, I know. I know this. I know how this story goes. I've been there before. Where's my milk?
Hammer, you would like the Periscope in the hot tub. I guarantee you want to watch Big T putting in the work out there, don't you, Hammer?
Oh, shit. Well, I'll tell you, as much as we enjoy Big T's workbench talk, We got to talk about some of these games this week because there's not going to be a lot of workbench talk on some of these games. It is ugly out there. We've got about 4 or 5 games with totals in the 30s. We don't have any total that's over 50. And Hoop, I just see you laughing at the chat. Hoop has no interest in doing this show right now. Hoop just wants to hang out in the chat. Like, I understand.
That's going good today.
The chat is good today. Which, by the way, guys, if you're enjoying this chat, if you're enjoying this talk, you're enjoying this NFL slate, click that like button. That's right, Bill Mine. Appreciate you. Click that like button. It helps us out over here on Run Pure Sports, and we love to help you out by giving these free shows. And it would be greatly appreciated if you click that like button. Santa Hoop, I know you're feeling a little bit giving today. What are we shooting for?
Well, we definitely got to get there on Christmas Eve. I mean, we can't be, the Grinch and withhold the plays. But also, we need you guys to respect the show and hit the like. So I don't know, what, 1,300, let's say. I mean, just 500 more. We already got 8. We'll go 13.
All right, so we're shooting for 1,300 likes. Guys, if you want the plays of the day, if you want to help us out over here on Run Pure Sports, that's what we need you to do. So click that like button. Crain put the beanie on. You look like a chia pet. I got one of those. I got beanies in my garage, man. Like I can't. I know exactly where the beanie is. The beanie's in the car because I'm not going outside without the car. So that's just where I kept it.
It's gonna be cold sitting in the car though.
It'll warm up real quick. I got a warm head,
I did get the truck in the garage though, so all week I knew the cold was coming. I've never parked my truck because it's a big truck in the garage. We cleaned that whole freaking garage out to get that truck in there, and my truck was so happy not to have to be out in those elements.
See, you got. I don't know. It's tough. It's tough when you got the kids to keep.
Big as Hoops. Like Hoop could fit a semi in his freaking garage. I got a
definitely
little bitty freaking garage.
I wish. I mean, my garage is filled up with just like the kid shit.
That was ours.
Yeah,
I told everywhere.
I told Mrs. Hoop, start clearing this shit out. I want to park my bus in there. Like I'm sick of cleaning off the snow and the ice. I said, let's clear out some space. I got no chance. I'm drawn dead. And she's the type of person that has to bring in all the outdoor furniture and shit. So that's stacked up in the garage. Yeah, I have no chance. I have no chance of getting a vehicle in there, unfortunately.
We call that drawing dead in the business.
Drawing dead. Yeah, that is correct. Yeah, my car is drawing dead to stay warm this winter. That is for sure.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm a single, I'm a single car household, and I still can't barely get my car in the garage because all my kids shit. My kid has like 7 vehicles in there. I'm just like,
yep.
All right.
That's how it goes. That is how it goes.
It's crazy, man. All right, let's talk a little bit of football. Appreciate you guys handling our nonsense. It's good times here, though, at Run Pure Sports. Click the like button. Helps us out. Texans at Titans, 35.5 point total. The Titans, 3.5 point favorite. And we're going to talk about one of the chalkiest guys on the entire slate. Everybody knows by now, if you've been paying attention at all, Derrick Henry crushes the Houston Texans. He's 8.6K over on DraftKings. Tony, I'm going to start with you because he's obviously going to be chalked. He's going to be chalked for good reasons. I think amongst the most expensive guys, he has the clearest path to failure. So I'm not sure that I'm making him a priority, but it's awfully tough to look at this history and not like him. What are you doing with Derrick Henry?
Yeah, I mean, you have to like his history, but I'm kind of with you. I played him last week in the live final. I played him. He's one of those guys that you hate playing until he busts one. Like the minute he busts one, you're like, God damn it, why didn't I play Derrick Henry? But when you watch him and he just runs into the line, right? You're like, God, this sucks. I hate playing this guy because it's literally either he breaks free and he houses or he doesn't. You usually know pretty early too if it's going to be a good day, because if he's getting free, running for 15, running for 12, you know it's going to be a good day. The problem I have with Henry is you got 3 spend-ups today that I see, and he's ranked number 3rd clearly for me of the spend-ups. So can you play Derrick Henry? Absolutely. I know he got the better of him earlier this year. Houston's D's been better, though. They just played Philly. They played Kansas City.
Dallas.
They played Dallas. All 3 of those teams they've played lately, though. And they've done decent enough. Now you get a Tennessee team that's lost 4 or 5 in a row, it feels like. They lost their quarterback. They lost basically their playoff contention. They've lost everything in a row. I know they can still win the division, but they're going the wrong direction. I mean, they're at home. They're favored by a freaking field goal over Houston. That tells you just how bad things are in Tennessee right now. So I actually think Houston can win the game. don't get me wrong, you can play Henry for sure, but he's going to be high owned. I'm just going to take my chances he doesn't beat me. I mean, maybe I play him on a team or two. I'm not saying I'm going to for sure full fade him, but I definitely like the other two spend ups more. And I don't know, Tennessee with Malik Willis at quarterback, I just don't. I have a hard time with it. He can't throw. I know Henry can beat loaded boxes, but he's gonna have to beat 11 in the box. So I just don't see it. And you look at the Houston side, I don't see much either. That's why this slate's going to be so interesting to me, because you got some really, really terrible spots, and then you got some good spots. So how I always do it, and it's probably too chalky, which I've admitted over the last 2 years, is just kind of play those good spots. It works for us in golf. Doesn't always work in football. So full disclosure, I'm not sure if it's the right move, but I just struggle playing guys from games like this.
Yeah, it's not that we're saying that Derrick Henry's a bad play. It's just that there's a path to failure, and I just like McCaffrey better. I like Saquon better. Hoop, are you on the same page, or are you just jamming in Derrick Henry?
Yeah, basically lined up with you guys. I mean, I like Henry. I mean, I think he could absolutely nuke this slate, and you're probably, like, to Big D's point, you're probably going to know pretty early on which way it's going to go. If he's busted off those 10, 15-yard runs and you fade him or you're underweight, you're probably screwed, because it usually continues for him. I prefer CMC. I want to make sure I get some Justin Jefferson, which we'll talk about. I even want to make sure I get some Saquon Barkley in there. Whatever I get on Henry, I'm just going to kind of roll with. I do prefer CMC over him. The paths to failure are much lower for McCaffrey compared to Henry. The argument against Henry is kind of the one Big T alluded to, that they're going to go ahead and stack up the box. Well, they probably do it even more with this Malik Willis quarterback, who literally just cannot pass the football. I mean, he has no chance of passing it. But on the other side, we've seen Derrick Henry, beat these loaded boxes his entire career. And I'm gonna play some of him. His ownership, I mean, what's it looking like? Probably 25-30%, probably higher in the
about 30%.
Yeah, probably higher in the higher stake stuff. I want some of them though, because their only path to victory is just giving it to him and him getting in the end zone. But again,
it's so sad just to say that though. Like in the NFL, you should not be able to win with just a running back. Like, and that's why I think Houston probably wins. You should not be able to win with just Derrick Henry. Like this is the NFL.
Yeah. No, I know.
And
that's why they never make deep runs.
Yeah, Scary Creations in the chat says, I hear y'all about Henry. As a Texans fan, honestly not sure if we've ever stopped it. We know. Like
we've seen the numbers.
And I get it. And it's look, we're talking about fading a guy that's going to be 30% on. We know it's going against the grain. By the way,
I mean, I'm not fading. I mean, I'm playing his ass, but it's not going to be more than CMC. I want to make sure I get my other guys in. I like Delvin Cook as well, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So I want to make sure that I get my other pieces in. It's going to come from Derrick Henry, not my CMC shares.
It's one point too to note that I didn't talk about, but our boy Fallick, like always, has all this. And I mean, Tennessee's banged up O-line too. So that does impact Henry, whether you want to believe it or not. And I just will always believe in the sports books. I believe it over everything. Let's look at that freaking line. I'm telling you, they're -3 at home versus Houston. Like, just tell yourself that before you get excited about Henry. Could he bust? Absolutely. Could he crush? Absolutely. But just logistically, he can't be as good a play as those other guys. He can't be. Doesn't mean he won't break the slate, though, and everybody can make fun of us later. But
I mean, it could be 1:00 Central Time and I'm dead. Like, I accept that. But I don't know. Like, the thing about Henry, too, he also has to kind of outscore Saquon and McCaffrey, because it's really difficult to get two of those guys in.
And
Justin Jefferson. Like, it's really difficult to get two of those guys in. So even if he puts up 25, he might not be in the winner. Justin Jefferson.
That's one point I might disagree with a little bit, just because you can get multiple of these guys in pretty easy this week because of how cheap some of these quarterbacks are. Yeah.
Okay, so if you get two, he has to be amongst the top two scorers amongst those guys.
Your point's still good though.
Yeah, it's still valid. But you can get three though.
Bad or happy.
You can get three of these guys in there pretty easily too.
Ooh, 3? Man, I haven't gotten to do that and like it. I might have to play a little bit more.
Well, I mean, if you play a cheap tight end, a cheap defense, a cheap wide receiver, and a cheap quarterback, I mean, you can get 3 in, but that's, doesn't really matter. He's got to compete with those top end guys to be the dude today.
So a couple of people in the chat have mentioned the Houston defense. I get that they're cheap. I just don't know that they're going to get that many opportunities. We want those big plays with defenses. We want those touchdowns. And Malik Willis,
they're going to run the ball they're going to throw like 9 times.
Yeah, like I just don't know if those opportunities are going to be there for the defense to have the upside to win you a tournament. I have a wide receiver play in this game. That Hoop's really going to hate, and I think I can talk Tony onto it.
Ooh, you're going to have a hard time in this game. You're going to have to sell me good.
Okay, Titans absolutely atrocious against the pass. They're even worse against the deep pass. Meanwhile, you have
Houston guy too.
It's going to be Brandon Cooks.
Oh my god!
It's going to be Brandon Cooks.
You're not
returning from All right, that's fine. Returning from injury, we know Davis Mills. He likes to chuck it. I know the weather's bad, but if this game was 20 degrees warmer, I think Brandon Cooks would be one of the best plays on the slate. As it is, I think he's a fine play. He's the only guy. Where else are they going to throw the ball to? Jordan Akins,
it's
Chris
a 35 total.
Their running backs are Royce Freeman, Dario Ogunbowale, and Rex Burkhead. They ain't going to run the ball a ton. They have to.
They're the Houston Texans. They're not going to pass the ball
doesn't
either.
Even want to play football right now.
Yeah, that's honestly, I swear to God, Tony, my biggest concern is that he doesn't want to play football.
I mean, I don't know about you guys. I worry about these like shitty teams, veterans in cold weather. Like, you think they really want to go out there and crush? They want to pack it in and not get injured.
Houston has been. I mean, they've been playing. They've been working lately.
They've been at home too, though. Like,
I get it.
Don't play Brandon Cook. I never argue with a Crane receiver play, but
I'm not saying he's going to be a core play. I'm saying though he is definitely in play. If he had put up 20 today, it would not shock me.
Man, if it was 40 degrees warmer and it was in a dome and he had a different quarterback
and he played for a different team.
Different team. And he was 10 years and he was 10 years younger, he'd be the fucking nut play on this slate.
Hitting the bow and arrow.
I don't know.
If there was just like 10 things different about Brandon Cooks today, he'd be a great play.
I said 2 things. 1, if he gave a shit, and 2, if it was warmer.
At least we're back to normal, though. We're 20 minutes in, and we're still on the Titans and Texans. All things you guys used to make fun of me for.
All things are right in the world.
Well, let's move on to a game that's a little bit more fun. The Giants and the Vikings. It's the second highest total on the slate, a 49.5-point total. Minnesota, 4.5-point favorites. And we got some plays here we're going to like. Dalvin Cook, 7-2. He feels a little too cheap. Justin Jefferson at 9-3. With all these expensive running backs, Justin Jefferson can't be mega chalk. And on the Giants side, we've got Saquon, Darius Slayton, and Isaiah Hodgins are getting a little bit of ownership. Hoop, I'm going to start with you because these Minnesota guys, there's a lot to like here.
Yeah, I mean, both sides, a lot of plays here fantasy-wise. I mean, you look at it, second highest total on the slate at 49.5. They're in a dome, which is obviously the reason why this total is up. 2 offenses that, can get it done for the most part. The Vikings defense is really, really bad, which is obviously a boost to the Giants offense. We know the pieces on the Vikings. I mean, this is a game where it's all around a lot of plays. I mean, both quarterbacks for me in play today. Both running backs in play today, Saquon Barkley, Dalvin Cook. I think both really solid options. Cook, a little bit cheaper than that top tier guys, like a little bit cheaper than Derrick Henry and CMC. So nice little price discount there. Then you have, in my opinion, 3 wide receivers on both sides in play. Slayton, Hodges, James. James is probably going to get the most ownership on the Giants side. In tournaments, I want to make sure I get Hodgins and Slayton in there at a high clip as well. On the Viking side, you know the deal. Justin Jefferson, phenomenal play. Always comes in a little bit lower than people think in terms of the ownership. I do think today a lot of people just go to those running backs. He has a chance to go a little bit overlooked. I mean, a lot of people are going to prioritize CMC and Henry over Justin Jefferson. I did say you could play 3 spends. I don't think Jefferson is going to be in those 3 spend builds. So I like getting exposure to Jefferson. Osborne has looked really good, and I know people will say that's just chasing going to KJ Osborne. He looks solid, and big play upside. Cousins is trusting him a little bit more. I prefer Osborne over Thielen, just because I think there's more upside baked in there. And then you have 2 tight ends that are in play as well. Bellinger, He's 3-3 on DK, but the better price tags on FanDuel, where Bellinger is 4.7K. That's really cheap. Hawkinson, I'll just keep playing him. The targets are just continue to be big. 9, 8, 6, 6, 9, 10, 9 cents coming over. Tight end, pretty weak overall today. This game is loaded up. And when you have this many options in a game, it makes it easier to be unique with your lineups when you go about playing it, whether you're game stacking or whatever it may be. When you have more options, it makes it easier to be unique. So I really like this game, and it's going to be owned. I mean, some of these pieces, like I said, James is going to be very, very owned as a cheap wide receiver. The quarterbacks will be owned. But again, we have a lot of pieces here, so there's a lot of different things you can do in this game. So yeah, I definitely really like it here.
Yeah, you're going to game stack. I think this is the obvious one to game stack. Are you going to be doing that, Tony?
Yeah, I mean, you got all bad weather today, or almost all bad weather. You got this game in a dome with two good offenses, or two decent enough offenses with weapons, two bad defenses. Everything comes together for the classic like overstack spot. Even you just have so many weapons. Everybody in the game I like for the most part. Jefferson's my favorite play on the slate. It isn't even close. Giants can't stop any number one receivers. He's the alpha number one in all of football. He continues to crush, and he really hasn't killed people with touchdowns yet. One of these weeks he's going to get like 3 touchdowns on top of it. And that really hasn't happened yet, even though he's crushed. So, yeah, I mean, I like everyone in this game. The Giants guys, I mean, Richie James should be very popular, 3,900. But you can play Slayton. Like, I don't think that many people will play Slayton. Big play upside. Bellinger, I like Bellinger a ton at 3,300. I don't think he'll be that owned. So, yeah, I mean, you're going to have a lot of ownership in this game, but there's also a lot of guys in this game. So you can pivot off of some of the chalkier guys and play KJ Osborne. I mean, you could even play, in a Millie Maker type thing, you could even play like Johnny Mund at 2,500. He's not any good, but he's a tight end and he's min price. Anyone in this game, I am good with. So load it up, jam it, overstack it. I do like Danny Dimes. The more I've thought about it since yesterday's show, I do like him more than Cousins just because he's 700 cheaper. You get a little bit of rushing upside on top of it. And I don't know. I just have a hard time paying over 6K for Cousins, even though this is the premier game.
Yeah, I'm sitting here looking at my lineup right now. I got Jones, Slayton, Bellinger, Jefferson, Cook. Like, Hoop, do you think that's almost too popular of a way to build?
Look at that sign behind him. That's not too popular. Look at that Millie sign behind him.
Oh, yeah. And I know it's the truth. I mean, the more I dig into the 150 stuff, and obviously somewhat new to it, I haven't really been doing it for a while. I just think people what's the best, how do I want to put this? They try to over like correlate their lineups and just too many hard and fast rules where if I play a quarterback with 2 wide receivers, I have to play 1 wide receiver coming back. Like, more times than not, yeah, that's probably the route to go, but those teams don't always win. I mean, it's like the random type teams that win. Look at my team, for example. It was a 6-man game stack situation. That happens throughout the season. You look at when Alicia Hunt won the Millie Run Pure member a few weeks ago. Didn't have much correlation involved there. The guys that won, I think they're the 2 guys that won it a couple weeks ago. It's just not these, okay, I need a quarterback, 2 wide receivers, 1 run back, and then another mini stack involved. I need the defense correlated with my running back. I just think people kind of are set in their ways when it comes to that, and that isn't always the winner. So I like situations like this where I know just by overexposing myself to a game in my lineups, I'll just be different that way.
Yeah, and I was just about to say, like, it's kind of counterintuitive, but the way you're talking about getting different is one of the ways people can get different. Because if everybody says, well, I'm playing this running back, I'm playing Alvin Kamara, so now I have to play the Saints defense. Like, that's just an automatic that people do now. And just simply by not doing that, you're getting different. And I think it's, forego some of the correlation that might add 0.1% chance to your likelihood of winning. and use that. I'd rather be a little bit different. I don't know, Tony, like you multi-enter a lot. What's your take on this?
Yeah, I mean, I still try to correlate, but I get what you guys are saying for sure. And sometimes the nuts does come up with just weird builds where one-offs, and even last night in NBA, I know it's a different sport, you see just a totally random team ship. There's no one set way. This is why we love DFS. This is why we've argued with some of the like simulation people over time. You can win more than one way doing this stuff. Like, you can jam it with correlations. We see that all the time. You can jam one-off teams. We've seen that. And today with the cheap quarterback we got later today, you could see a weird team today win where you play a cheap quarterback, like Hoop said, play a cheap tight end, and then just correlate the shit out of this game, throw it all in a blender, and who knows what comes out. So that's the part I love about DFS. You can literally attack it from however way, different way you can. And you can see it at the end of slates too, where both those constructions both end up in the same spot. So, yeah.
Yeah. By the way, in the chat, Hank, we need to talk about it. Says, quote, here's what he said. Can somebody get Crain, you spelled my name wrong, a gift card to Supercuts for Christmas before he heads out to the family gathering? I'm going to tell you something. Yesterday, 10:45 in the morning, I looked at the dome and I said, Tony, what do I need on top? What kind of haircut do I need, Tony?
012, baby.
I need the 012. I needed to get it done. So I drive out. My haircut place is like 15 minutes away. Roads are fucking frozen. I'm not happy. I'm driving like a grandma this whole time, just trying to get there, just wanting to get a little headpiece looking good. And there's a sign on the door from 2 days ago. It says, we're going to try and open tomorrow. Don't know. Okay. So I wait around. They said, we're going to open at 11. Okay, great. 11:15, ain't nobody there. Nobody opened for me. So I tried to get the haircut. I got hosed. It was a very sad day. I risked my life to try and get it done. Just didn't happen. That's the way it goes sometimes. So Hank, while I appreciate the comments on, what's going on up top, I tried to fix it and shit just didn't happen. All right. Speaking of not happening, Saints and the Browns, 32.5 point total. Cleveland, 3-point favorites at home. Click the like button, guys. By the way, forgot to say that. Helps us out over here at Run Pure Sports. We want the plays of the day. We're trying to get 1,300 likes, which means click the damn like button, even if you don't like this game. Hoop, Nick Chubb, maybe. I'm not playing any receivers here. Don't worry. I'm not going to try and convince you into Donovan Peoples-Jones or anything. I might try and convince you on a little Alvin Kamara, but man, that has been painful.
Yeah,
Who talked to me about it? Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, like, he's like a very, very deep play for me. I don't know. Hoop, are you doing anything here?
Yeah, no. Alvin Kamara thing, it's like, man, he can't get past like the line of scrimmage. I played him last week and I knew that he sucks. And then I played him and watched it. I was like, the first point of contact, the dude just hits the deck. And I don't know if he's just kind of, mailed it in at this point, but he can't get past the line of scrimmage. I mean, if someone touches him, he immediately curls up and goes down. And it's not hard hits or anything. I just can't do that anymore. Hate to say it, but it seems like, Drew Brees probably, made this guy. Without Brees, he's been an absolute disaster. So can't do that. I mean, Shaheed, I'm going to keep him in my player pool. Obviously, the elements here are not great for passing game. They're talking, 40-mile-an-hour winds, super cold. The total opened up at 36, immediately dropped like 5 points in this game. It's not a good one for fantasy. So nothing for me besides a little Shaheed on the Saints side. And then the Browns, the problem I have with Nick Chubb is he needs to beat Derrick Henry. He needs to beat Christian McCaffrey. He needs to beat Saquon Barkley. He needs to beat Cook and probably like Jefferson. He's not far off those guys. Could he do it? Sure. I'm going to take my chances that he does not do it, and I'll be fading this game besides Shaheed.
I'm not even playing Shaheed, man. Like, I can't play a receiver that requires deep passing when they have 40-mile-an-hour winds.
He'll be in my player pool, but I'm not like prioritizing him.
Tony, are you prioritizing anybody in this game?
Yeah, on FanDuel, I'm prioritizing playing two quarterbacks today. So I will leave Taysom, my boy Taysom, in the player pool because he's going to get a ton of work at quarterback today in these conditions. Andy Dalton can't throw in these conditions. They're gonna hype up the Taysom package. And last week I called the Thursday Kittle game, won a good chunk of money off it today. Definitely the Taysom spot. And he's tight end, not on DK. I'm not going to play him on DK, obviously, because you just don't. I mean, he's 4,800. You can't do it at quarterback. But FanDuel, this dude will be 1% owned, and he's a tight end, which sucks. So sign me up for. I literally might click the lock button on FanDuel on Taysom at tight end. That's how much I think he plays today. And it's a running script. Everything is perfect. FanDuel, tight end. Enjoy your 2 quarterbacks. Everything else, though, I'm off here.
All right, Bills at the Bears, 40.5-point total. Buffalo, 8.5-point favorites. Big weather issues here, and we got big prices on these guys, which means they're going to be low owned. I don't love the spot. Just Josh Allen, look, again, better weather. Yeah, I would play him. Justin Fields, I always want to play Justin Fields. I can't pay up a quarterback today. Tony, I'm going to kick it off with you this time. Anything here for you?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. The good part, though, about Buffalo is no one's going to play these guys. And I want to get better at this. This is what I think Tambo does really good. And I need to learn, because we always need to learn. He's been crushing all year. I get too set on like my teams and my stacks, and I don't really branch out enough. Even if it's one team of my main like 6 or 10 teams, however many I got today, I should play like one Josh Allen with Diggs or Gabe, or like stack up just one. You don't need to go crazy with it, but just play one team, because they have a ceiling. They can break a slate, and they're going to be low owned. I mean, all these guys are going to be under 5% owned. So I want to get better at this. I'm not in love with the spot, but man, you telling me I can get Allen, Diggs, Gabe, run it back with whoever, Montgomery or something? That's a tournament build that could win you a lot of money today. And I need to get better at hedging a little bit. I don't need to go all in on the spots I like, which is why I do good at showdowns sometimes, because I do that, but it's a weakness for these full slates. And I just want to get better at it. I know it's late in the year, but I can still do it. So I'll probably have one team of this Buffalo stack. And then on the Chicago side, I mean, there's just not much there outside. You can play Fields. He continues to break long runs, which puts him in play. I can't play him this week, I don't think, though. I'd rather just play like running back outside of those top guys is not great today. Like the rest of the year, we've had a ton of mid-range running backs that are elite. I don't see that as much today. So you could play like a Montgomery in this spot and with the Buffalo stack and just be insanely contrarian with upside. Yeah. So that's where I'm at. You could definitely play the Bears D too, even though it's not a great spot. They're stone minimum 2K in bad weather with Josh Allen, who's like to turn the ball over all year long. So I think you could definitely play a 2K defense.
Yeah, and these quarterbacks too, like they're both running quarterbacks. And if you're going to play guys in bad weather, the guys who get some yards, some points on the ground are who you want. It's still tough for me to look at the price tags on these guys and play them in a game like this. Is it going to be tough for you to do that?
No, I'm in on Buffalo today.
Okay.
Yeah, the weather sucks here, but the weather sucks in Buffalo every single week, and these guys, typically produce. So if there's one team on the road playing in poor weather, and I'm going to be on them, I want it to be Buffalo. And I'm looking at the ownership, like, man, so you're saying I can play 10% Josh Allen, 10% Stephon Diggs.
They're not even going to be 10. They're going to be like,
well, that's my point. I'm saying
he's saying he can play.
If I play 10 on all these dudes, I am way over the field on the best quarterback in football, one of the best wide receivers, and a guy in Gabe Davis who's broken the slate, multiple times.
He's murdered us this year, by the way.
I know.
We have all taken turns making him our player. Every week.
And you know what? That is one guy that I don't give a shit. Like, he could hurt me. He could hurt me for 16. It's not going to be a Robbie Anderson thing where I eventually bail on him. I'm not bailing on Gabe. I can't
wait till he crushes for us one week and then we all victory lap.
Oh yeah. Again, because if he crushes, I can promise you, I'll be on it, because I am not getting off Gabe Davis. And he has pounded us, but he owes us. So I mean, look at me. He's going to be like unowned for sure. So, I mean, Allen, Diggs, Gabe, tight end sucks. You get a cheap tight end in Knox. I just have to be on this team. I don't care. I actually really like the spot when you factor in ownership. So in my 150, I'll be way over the field on all
Yeah, so it's weird with Buffalo because everybody, oh, the weather's bad, they're expensive, blah blah blah. They still have a team total of 3.5 touchdowns, so like they're going to be putting up points. I don't mind playing Allen at all. I was doing my build earlier, and I had like 5,000 left for a wide receiver spot, and I just almost cried because I don't want to get hurt by Gabe Davis. The mean Gabe Davis man keeps hurting me, and I think I'm just going to do it again because at this point we're just fucking committed. So
Yeah, seriously. And then again, I mean, it's Robbie Anderson. I was on Robbie all season, bailed on him at the end. I am not bailing on Gabe Davis. So I can promise you right now, if and when Gabe Davis has a big game, Santa Hoop will be on him.
Okay. Hey guys, sorry about we froze, but luckily, I don't know if you guys knew this about the YouTube algorithm. If you click the like button more often, we don't freeze as often. That's how that works. Yep. Yeah. So go ahead and click that like button. We're trying to get to 1,300 likes today to get our plays of the day. And maybe our plays of the day will come from this next game. It's Seattle and Kansas City. It's a 50.5 point total. The Chiefs, 10.5 point favorites at home. And Mahomes, I'm going to have no problem with him. Juju, MVS, Kelsey. Tony, as always, there's a lot of pieces to like. Lockett on the other, or Metcalf on the other side with Lockett out. Tony, is this a game that you're looking to stack up? It's the highest total on the slate.
Yeah, I don't like it as much as the field, though. One of my issues with Mahomes, we've talked about a lot this year. I just don't know who to play him with. All these other teams where I spend up at quarterback, I feel like I know who to play him with. I mean, you can play him with Kelsey, obviously, but if you start with Kelsey and Mahomes on your team, man, you're going to have to sacrifice some of these other plays that I really like. I'm playing Justin Jefferson. I have to play one of those running backs. So it's really not feasible for me. So Kansas City's a team I just won't be as high on. Seattle, I've been so low on. So naturally, this game just looks like a fit that I don't need to. I think Kansas City pounds Seattle. I just don't see it. I don't really want to play Metcalf. I don't know. I liked a lot of that other chalk game. I do not like much in this game. The one guy that's just haunted me is McKinnon. Talked about it on the other show. Just loved him 3-4 weeks ago, and then I didn't play him in either live final as he went for 35 each week. But again, he'd be the one I would play. I just like him more than the rest of the guys. So I'm going to be way, way lower on this game than the field.
Yeah, I mean, McKinnon, he's had 17 targets over the last 2 weeks. Those are insane numbers. And I don't know, it's just so weird because I'm seeing him only 10%. That stuns me because I assumed he was going to be really popular. Pacheco, nobody's going to play him, but he still got 15 carries last week. It's not like he's just disappeared from this offense. It's tough to play the guys that don't catch the passes, though. Hoop, this Chiefs team has been frustrating for us all year. We don't know what receiver's going to catch the ball. Kelsey hasn't even been as consistent as we would necessarily like. Now we've got this situation with the running backs where Pacheco's getting more work. McKinnon's getting all of the targets. Is that going to continue? We don't know. So it's a really frustrating spot. How are you breaking this down?
Yeah, I'm kind of with you guys. I just don't. It's a tough situation to really analyze and break down. But the one thing I do know is this team continues to put up points and they continue to be on the winner in terms of fantasy. So I do want to be a part of it some way. But it is tough because if you do play Mahomes and Kelsey, you're sacrificing, at least one of those high-end running backs. You're sacrificing Justin Jefferson. So it is tough. If you're building 150 lineups, it's a little bit easier to get exposure. If you're only, building, 5, 6, 7, 8, whatever, 9, 10 lineups, it's a little bit harder. So in 150, I do want some exposure here. Obviously, the easiest way to get exposure is Mahomes and Kelsey. But again, if you do that, those guys need big boy scores because I have a feeling, between CMC, Derrick Henry, Justin Jefferson, a couple of those guys are going off today. So you are sacrificing some stuff, but I will in my 150 make sure I get some exposure. In terms of the wide receivers, man, probably just Juju. We're starting to see, Patrick Mahomes' attention just go in certain directions when he drops back. I mean, MVS is not the answer. These other guys, not the answer. It's Kelsey, it's Juju, and McKinnon. So I will have exposure to all of those guys. I want some Pacheco, though, too. I mean, there's not many mid-tier. I think Tony brought up, there's not many of those mid-tier running backs that have just been smashing all season long. We got the top end guys, but we really don't have anything once you start coming down. So I think McKinnon and Pacheco are good guys to mix in, because it gets you exposure to this team that is projected to score 30, real points today. So I want some exposure. In terms of the Seattle side, I think the Chiefs just own them here. I think the loss of
I do too.
Yeah, I think the loss of Lockett is pretty big for Geno. I mean, he's gone to Lockett a ton. Now he's thrown it to like Marquise Goodwin and Noah Fant and dudes like that. I think they get pounded. I don't think I'll play Kenneth Walker. Did you guys have an opinion on Walker? I was curious because he's one guy
I want to like Walker, but I'm kind of with you where I just think the Chiefs kick the shit out of him.
Yeah, and they have all these other guys at running back. DK Metcalf. Yeah, I'll have some of him, but probably no Geno, no Kenneth Walker. Not all that in. Tony, what was your thought on Kenneth Walker?
He's one guy I'd never play when I think they lose because he can't catch the ball. At least I don't think he couldn't catch it in college. He really hasn't caught it much this year. I don't see it. If they score early, I just eliminate people, so I would never play him.
Yeah. No, I'm on that boat as well. I prefer the Chiefs guys over him, but yeah, it's they're projected to score 30, so I want some of them in my 150 today.
Tony, do you want to guess Isaiah Pacheco's rushing prop?
Rushing prop. I know he's been relatively good. How many yards did he finish with last week? 86. I'd guess his rushing prop is 70.
Well, God, you're good at this. Fucking 70.
Is it exactly 70?
Well, it's 68.5 with minus 125 on the over.
So it wasn't exactly like crazy. I just pulled up his box score: 69, 66, 70, and 86. Yeah. So I kind of just went with the middle number. It wasn't exactly that crazy.
Yeah, I mean, he's got a 70 rushing prop. He's minus 110.
All 4 games, he's got that yards. So I think 70 is a fair number for him. So if you think he scores, he's a good play.
Yeah. I mean, if he gets you 16 at 5.9. Do I love it? No, but I'm fine with it.
The other thing to keep in mind,
there is a path where he can score 3 times, though. It's not like that's not there.
And the other thing to consider this week, with these very, very low totals, I'm assuming, and this could, backfire, but I'm assuming we see lower scores, win today. It has to be the case. It has to. So the expectations, might need to be, tempered a little bit in terms of the number of fantasy points that we're actually looking for.
If you guaranteed me, we'll go back to an old school Wood conversation, but if you guaranteed me 16 to 18 from Pacheco, I'd play him.
Yeah, that's about his projection,
without a ceiling. Man. If you told me I can't get more than that, I'd still play him.
Yeah, his projection's 15. Just based on the Vegas prop.
He might be the play, too, because I didn't want to play the passing game, so it kind of gives me exposure to vulture that passing game, too.
Well, there's a week coming where they just pound it. We're like, all right, let's screw this passing game. Let's just
McKinnon's already tormented me, too, so he might as well torment me one more week and just shove it back up my ass.
Oh, man. Well, guys, we would appreciate it if you'd shove those like buttons up our ass. Keep clicking it. We appreciate it. You knew I was going to do something. Yeah, it would be much appreciated. We're trying to get to 1,300 likes to get our plays of the day. So go ahead and click that like button. It helps us out over here at Run Pure Sports, and it allows us to help you out giving our favorite plays. Let's talk Bengals and Patriots. 41.5 point total. The Bengals 3-point favorites. Tony, I always start with you on Bengals games. Jamar Chase, not going to be all that popular. Same for Joey B. Mixon, not going to get a lot of ownership. I feel like we should like these Bengals more than we do.
It's another spot very similar to the Buffalo spot where people are not going to play. You're telling me I can go into a slate and play Burrow and Chase and get them both under 10%. That is something I'm going to be interested in every single week. It's almost the Justin Jefferson spot that we've had a lot of these weeks where he's 8,300 is cheap for Chase even. The dude, everyone knows Belichick tries to take away the number one. But I don't care. Justin Jefferson lit this team up. Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson are the 2 best receivers in football. They're unbelievable. So I'll take my chances. We've talked about it a bunch too. Joe Burrow's been on more millie makers than anyone the last 2 years. You have upside. This is the same exact thing as Josh Allen. even slightly easier, because if I play Burrow, I'm really not getting outside of Higgins and Chase, and probably only one of them. So I don't have to double stack. I can literally just play Burrow and Burrow and Chase. And then on the New England side, I think you can play Ramondre. I mean, he continues to get massive workload. Jacoby Myers gets pretty good workload at 4,800. This is another like game to me, just like Buffalo. Like, I'm not going to really go heavy in my 150, but I'm going to have one or two teams that I kind of correlate through this game where it's going to be super low owned, and I could see it being the winner. Do I think it will be? Will it be my main team? No, but I wouldn't be shocked at all if somebody wins a lot of money stacking this game up a little bit.
Yeah, it wouldn't shock me either. Would it shock you, Hoop?
No, not at all. And if it does happen, I'll unfortunately probably be losing today because I just can't get a lot. I just unfortunately can't get a lot of it. It doesn't mean I hate the spot, but I want to be either cheap at quarterback or just go all the way up to like Josh Allen or even some Mahomes, and Joe Burrow gets lost in the shuffle for me, unfortunately. But man, I would not be shocked again if Burrow and Chase was on the winner. It's happened a ton. I'm just going to bank on this one being kind of a little more of a ugly type game. I will have Stevenson in my player pool. I will have Chase in my player pool, Myers, Nelson Aguilar, even Hunter Henry. I don't mind, but I'm not going to have a ton of this one.
Yeah, you mentioned Ramondre Stevenson. He's somebody that I always have interest in just because he gets just all the freaking work for New England. A little Chase Ramondre combination will not be popular. So if you want to go roll with that, you can pretty much do whatever you want with the rest of your lineup because ain't nobody playing that. Lions at Panthers, 43.5 point total. Oh, I almost forgot. Guys, I cannot believe I almost forgot this. We're running a promo over at Run Pure Sports. First payment off of your membership, of your monthly or weekly membership, 25% off. Check us out over Run Pure Sports. We got all kinds of stuff going on. Use promo code HOHOHO25. That's the promo code if you guys want to get 25% off your first payment over at Run Pure Sports. Hoop, I love throwing it to you because you're so good at explaining. What are the people missing who aren't members over at Run Pure Sports?
Well, I mean, the main thing is, over at Run Pure, we kind of do it a little different where when you have a membership at Run Pure, you get access to absolutely everything on the website, all sports. You continue to see it around the industry where these guys, when a new sport starts, they'll send you an invoice for $300-$400. We've seen people. I mean, this was the most shocking one where a site charges $600 for PGA content. $600 at Run Pure Sports. PGA starting next week or in 2 weeks. Guess what? We have a full allotment of content improvements as well. And it's all part of your membership at Run Pure. We're not going to charge you any more when baseball starts in a couple months. Guess what? We're going to pick up all the work, not charge you guys anything additional. That's the best perk of being a member at Run Pure. And also, we've partnered with SaberSim as well, the best optimizer in the industry. If you want access to SaberSim, you can choose a package that includes SaberSim, and it'll be available for you right on the runpuresports.com website. So now is the time to get in.
Yeah, one of the things I enjoy about Run Pure Sports is, I like football, I like basketball, I like baseball. I like the niche sports, like the sports that not everybody's playing. You can't quite win as much, but it's been good. And Tony, I know World Cup for you, playing that niche sport, man, was just an absolute print fest.
Yeah, I mean, as Hoop knows, I love these niche sports and all of them, and that's the biggest advantage to Run Pure. It really is. You come in, you get all these things, even these bowl games. We got Bruce in there grinding. We got everyone in there. Rubio's doing soccer, Jaime's doing soccer, Susie's doing tennis. I mean, you get all that. Yeah, there's smaller prize pools, but on a Tuesday, like this Tuesday, there's 4 bowl games, I think. What else you gonna do on a Tuesday afternoon? I freaking love that action, especially during the week when there's not much going on. Get it all for one price. I love that part.
Yep, and I'll be. You mentioned tennis. Aussie Open starts here in a few weeks, and I will be absolutely grinding those slates. Aussie Open has historically been my best 2 weeks of the year, every freaking year, and I cannot wait. I love starting the new year off good, and I'll be grinding those tennis discords and giving my core plays. So yeah, make sure you check us out over at Run Pure Sports. A lot of good stuff going on. Promo code HOHOHO25. Hey, Hoop, give us a good ho ho ho, Santa.
Ho ho ho.
Oh,
Also, did you guys see this tweet from the mayor of yeah, that was really bad. I'm not a voice impersonation.
You can't wear that hat and not get that.
I don't have a good if I had a Run Pure beanie, that would be on instead, but I don't have that. Do you guys see this? The mayor of where is it? Wherever the Titans
Nashville.
plays.
Nashville.
Yeah, Nashville. Yeah, he's trying to get them to cancel the game.
Yeah, good luck with that. NFL trumps whatever your mayor think. Like, cancel the game.
Yeah, that's a good point.
They're not canceling for cold.
Yeah, yeah. They said there's rolling blackouts or something, so they're trying to cancel it. That is that's where the NFL is gonna say, "Fuck you, Mayor. Game on."
Yeah.
All right, Lions at Panthers, 43.5-point total. Detroit, 2.5-point favorite. Hoop, Lions game, starting with you. Monroe St. Brown, not going to be crazy owned, but it's going to get some ownership. DeAndre Swift, people are talking about again and once again. I just can't do it. On this Carolina Panthers side, DJ Moore, he's going to be popular with Sam Darnold under center. Donta Foreman's going to get a little bit of ownership. What do you think about this game, Hoop?
Yeah, I don't think it's the worst one. I mean, I guess it's all for me contingent on what you think the Panthers do. I mean, now I'm assuming the NFL or these teams have woken up to the fact that the Lions' run defense is really, really good, which is a big improvement from early on in the season where they weren't very good. The last 5 or 6 weeks have been phenomenal. You know what the Panthers want to do? They want to absolutely just pound it. I don't think they're going to be able to do that today. So do they reverse course and say, all right, let's pass it a little bit? If so, DJ Moore, Terrence Marshall in play. You got Amon-Ra St. Brown coming back on the other side. So I'm more interested in the passing attack here, but it is contingent on the Panthers game plan here. If they go with what they've been trying to do and just running the ball, it's a lot of ugly, nasty games. If they realize they can't run it and start to pass a little bit, this could be like a sneaky game. But either way, I'll be in on DJ Moore and St. Brown, who I think is still too cheap. But it's really, about it here.
Tony, is this a game that you're going to be invested in?
No, I mean, it's an ugly game. If I was going to play it, it would definitely be the Carolina passing game, similar to what Hoop was saying. DJ Moore, how much is Sam Darnold? Sam Darnold's 5,100. I mean, you could definitely play him versus Detroit. Detroit gets carved in the passing game. They're good in the running game. I doubt I get here because I do like Carolina to win an ugly game here. But, man, you could play Terrace Marshall for 3,600. DJ Moore, 5,500. Even my boy Chuba, who should catch a bunch of dump offs, 4,900. I can't play any Detroit guys though, so I don't know. I'll probably be off.
Do you guys understand this Swift thing? Everybody's he's off the injury report, so now we can play him, and he still doesn't get any carries inside the 10.
I just don't think they would change their plan. Like, they've been playing good, running 3 guys. I don't really see why they would change. They've been winning every week.
Yeah,
could he crush though? I mean, he's the most talented of the 3. We've learned our lesson. We can't keep playing this guy.
No, I'm done. I screwed up one week. I started saying in week 2 I wasn't going to play this guy the rest of the year. I had one relapse. I did relapse one week. I'm not proud of it, but that's what happened. But it's that's okay. You get one. You get one. We're not making this mistake again.
He always gets some ownership too. It's not like he's zero. He always gets just a little ownership.
Yep. It's I don't know. They pay the rake. The DeAndre Swift people pay the rake, and we appreciate that over at Run Pure Sports. Falcons at the Ravens, 34.5-point total. Baltimore 6.5-point favorites at home. Mark Andrews, not going to be owned. I don't hate him, even though I know everybody else is going. There's no way you guys like Mark Andrews, and I do. J.K. Dobbins, not going to get a lot of ownership, even with the cheap price tag. I don't know. Hoop, anything in this game for you?
Definitely nothing on the Falcons side. I'm not messing with anyone there. I like the Ravens defense. I think Dobbins is somewhat interesting. I mean, the problem is he's got to get it done in a short period of time because he's not going to go out there and get 25 touches or anything. It's going to be likely upper teens, which they're 7-point home favorites. So I think he does have a chance. I'll keep him in my player pool. Demarcus Robinson, I don't mind, as a cheap wide receiver. I mean, just a lot of targets.
That's this year's version of Robbie Anderson for you. You love DeMarcus.
Yeah,
well, it is every week.
Every week he talks about DeMarcus.
At least he's paid dividends at some point. Robbie was 2-3 fantasy points all along the way. Like DeMarcus Robinson, I mean, he's getting looks and he's cheap, and he's benefits, I think, from this uglier type slate. So yeah, in on him. I won't play Andrews though. So yeah, it's just going to be my guy DeMarcus and J.K. Dobbins.
Tony, are you on DeMarcus Robinson?
I am not on DeMarcus Robinson. But,
me either.
Yeah, I mean, this game.
Why not?
He sucks. I
He's actually
mean,
not
Huntley
bad.
can't throw. I don't
I
like
agree with
playing
that.
receivers that I can't get there. But I mean, it's a super low total. I just think this game is very ugly. Both teams like to run the ball too. The clock's going to be moving the whole game. Again, this is why I just want to overstack like the Minnesota in these games that are inside. You got a 35 total with two teams that want to run the ball. It'll get to the end of this game and you're like, why the hell did I play someone in this game? I could play Dobbins, don't get me wrong. I know JSU loved Dobbins too. He's had two good games, 5,800. I don't know, like Dobbins, I guess. Andrews, maybe 5,500, but I don't love this game.
Yeah, I don't love this game either. I don't think Drake London's insane, but he's not a priority piece for me. All right, let's move on to the 4 p.m. games. Guys, click that like button. Hoop, where are we at with the likes?
Oh, it's not going to be a Merry Christmas for the
Oh,
viewers
no.
today.
Oh, no, you better take that Santa hat off, buddy.
Yeah. What did we say? 1,300. We're at like 1K, so it'll be. I mean, that's actually really bad because when we came on, we were at like 7 or 8, so it's actually even more.
Tambo
hurtful.
just owns us. Tambo just crushes us in the likes.
Yeah. He had some new sayings going today and everything. Like he was locked in.
He was doing full nursery rhymes on the show, getting freaking singing like the 12 days of Christmas with likes and shit, like just owning us.
Do you think he has that prepared pre-show?
I think he fully goes like when he gets out of the shower, he looks in the mirror and rehearses. Butt naked, like the old dude in the gym with the ball bag hanging down.
I saw him again, man. And I saw a side angle of it now. Like it's even worse on the. Well, no, it's even worse on the side angle because I happened to glance down and there is like, I mean, we talk bushes. That there is like the penis hidden. It's a penis hidden sort of bush. Like fuck, man, this guy's owned my life at the gym. It's so disgusting.
You know what? That right there, Hoop. That's why we don't hit our likes.
Your penis and bush talk doesn't get you there.
Yeah. That somehow, against all odds, believe it or not, does not get the likes done. That's okay. That's okay, guys. Hit that like. It helps us out over here at Run Pure Sports. We got how many? We like 2,000 watching, 2,500 watching, something like that.
Yeah, it's been around 2.
All right, yeah.
Maybe people actually have lives on Christmas Eve and are doing things.
Yeah, that's all right.
Because usually around 2,500. So maybe we should reassess the number of likes. I mean, usually there's about 2,500 people watching today. Christmas Eve. We're about 1,800 to 1,900. Maybe we need to bring it down. What do you think?
If they get to 1,200, we got to give it for Christmas.
Yeah. All right. Santa Hoop is giving you guys a gift. We get to 1,200 likes. We're going to give our plays of the day. So make sure you click that like button. It helps us out over here.
I'm actually impressed. We got 1,800 watching and 1,100 likes for the day. I mean, Christmas Eve. I'm impressed.
Yeah, so here's my question. What day of the week did you guys find out this show was on Saturday?
I've known for a minute, actually. I don't usually, but this week I did. Just because I knew that the full slate was Saturday was the only reason I knew.
Yeah, by the way, it was Wednesday for me. It was until Wednesday. I was doing the morning.
It's gonna feel like Sunday all day, though, right? Like at the end of the night, it's gonna feel like Sunday night. You're not gonna think tomorrow's Sunday.
Said Hoop a peeper. Yeah, Hoop is a peeper. That's just
you can't avoid this mess. I wish someone else. I wish someone else could experience. I swear to God, because it is the most appalling thing of all time. And then it's like it's there. So it's like the car crash type thing. Like you drive past a car crash, obviously you're gonna be staring. Like this dude's there, like blow drying his ball sack. So like it automatically your eyes, unfortunately, are like you're telling yourself don't look that direction. Then you happen to look that direction, and then you're just locked in.
It does cross that like car crash to like point though, because it's like so egregious that you want to look. Like if it was in the middle ground and it was just like a normal person in there with their cock, you'd never look at it. But it's so egregious that you just have to look.
Yeah, and it's something that stands out. Like could you like walk into a gym locker room and think that you would see somebody with one leg posted up on the countertop holding their sack up with a blow dryer? Like that is like one of the most egregious things. You would never expect that to be happening, and it's exactly what is fucking happening.
When I walk into a gym, I actually do expect to see that. I don't know why. Every gym in the country has some old dude, maybe not blow drying their sack, but powdering up or something.
Yeah, man. Ooh, it is.
They got no shame in their game, without a doubt.
They don't.
I guarantee
no.
JT Hayes, I see him in the chat. I guarantee he could blow dry his balls. I can see that.
He's one of the top spokesperson for what's the company we had? What is that? The
Manscaped.
Manscaped.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Manscaped.
he's one of the.
That was before my
had,
time, and I knew that.
Yeah. JT had the full rundown of the Manscaped equipment. He was very
Could
well
have been
versed
just
in
for
it.
show, though. Do we think he actually gets the job done?
Well, I mean, don't they say like the drapes match? What is it? The curtains match? I mean, yeah. I think JT is a loyal non-hair guy. I'll put it that way.
KB, Big T has never been in a gym. Come on. I'm fat these days, but I've been in plenty of gyms in my life. Get out of here.
Oh, man. Let's talk Washington at San Fran. 37.5 point total. 49ers, 6.5 point favorites. And Christian McCaffrey's going to be popular. Tony, I'm going to find it tough to fade him. Are you going to be able to fade him?
I mean, there's no other running back. So, like, I say that, and the dude shoved it up my ass on that showdown game, Jordan Mason on that last drive. But there's just no one there. He's 8,800. He's the best running back in football. He's in a good matchup. I don't see any reason not to play him. I mean, you don't have to lock him because he's going to be 40-50% owned, but the dude is going to crush. So I like him. Purdy's actually looked good to me. I haven't minded how he's looked. He looks pretty solid in there. So I don't know, though. I don't see a ton outside of McCaffrey in this game. You can play Jawan Jennings. He's 3,700, playing like every snap. Don't hate him. The Washington side, Dotson looked really good in that Monday night game or Sunday night, whatever. Sunday night it probably was. He looked really good, and he's only 3,900. So another cheap receiver you can go to. Not a ton of interest in here, though. San Fran's just good. We've talked about it all year. They look like the best team in football to me. You're not going to get easy points against them. They're going to make you work for everything. I just don't see a reason to go to too much here.
Hoop, are you going to be going to this spot?
Yeah, I mean, fully in lockstep. I mean, McCaffrey, just, man, he's the best play for me on the slate. I hope people play like Henry over him. Yeah, I want McCaffrey, and I agree. I think they are maybe the best team in football. They've looked so good. Their defense is really good. Jawan Jennings is a cheap wide receiver. I'll have him in. I'll have like McLaurin in there just because he's a little cheaper than that upper tier. Dotson looked phenomenal. I mean, just they threw that bomb to him. He came up with a really good catch and then had another big catch as well. Curtis Samuel. I'll have some of him just because they give him these carries and stuff. So he has a lot of different ways to get there, but not priority plays at all. Man, I do really like this Brian Robinson guy. I wish the matchup was like basically against anyone else in football, and I'd be playing Brian Robinson today, but the matchup with San Fran is not very good. But this game is clearly all about Christian McCaffrey, and I want a ton.
Yeah, it's tough for me not to play McCaffrey. I wanted to play Dalvin and Jefferson on the same team just to get a little bit weird, and it's awfully tough to find McCaffrey in those builds, but man, do I want him in there. I absolutely want a little McCaffrey in there. All right, final game of the slate. Guys, we're trying to get to 1,200 likes. Santa Hoop said, you know what, 1,300, don't want to be that aggressive. He's trying to give back to the people. So we're trying to get to 1,200 likes. So click that like button. Helps us out over at Run Pure Sports, and we appreciate you helping us out because we appreciate getting to do these shows for you for free. So, Hoop, where are we at? Are we in the 11s now?
Yep, 1,100 and change. So we're on our way. The people are going to get.
All right, guys, we got one game left. I know you can do it. It takes a village. Click the damn like button. It helps us out, and yeah, we'd appreciate it. Trying to get 1,200 likes. If you want our plays of the day, click the like button. Let's talk Cowboys and Eagles. 47.5 point total. Dallas 4-point favorites at home. We've got Gardner Minshew starting for the injured Jalen Hurts. You've got like a lot of these guys are just gonna kind of be owned. Like Schultz is gonna get some ownership. Same for Lamb. Same for Pollard, Miles Sanders, AJ. Like Tony, a lot of these guys are gonna get kind of owned. Where it's kind of a spot where if you like them, play them. If you don't, well, you're fine. Do you like the guys in this game?
Someone in the chat was saying Samuel's out. I don't think that's Curtis Samuel.
I haven't seen anything on that.
Yeah, he circled back. We know okay. Debo's out. Okay. Yeah, I mean, so the last game, I actually have a hot take on that one. I think people are going to play this game, but man, both these teams are basically locked into their playoff position. Philadelphia in the 1, Dallas in the 5. And they're obviously looking at the playoffs as their end game. So they're not going to run anything crazy today, in my opinion. I don't see why they would risk anything. So this will be my contrarian take of the day, but I don't love a ton in this game, especially spending salary. Like, I would never play Miles Sanders in this spot. I really think they could go with a vanilla game plan, super basic plays. You got the backup quarterback in for Philly, who I do think you can play because of how cheap he is, and he's still going to chuck it around. But I don't think it's going to be to the main sources. Like AJ Brown, I'm not going to play today. I think people will put him with Goddard. Coming back from injury, the dude hasn't played in 2 months. I don't see how you can play this guy. They're the number 1 seed. They're going to get the 1 seed. This game means nothing to Philadelphia. I just don't. Why would they bring him back from injury and just let him go crazy against Dallas? I just don't see it personally. So I won't be on him. I'll be on more of the cheap plays. Play Gardner Minshew to Quez Watkins, 3,600, 4,800. I love that. Boston Scott, 4K. Kenny Gainwell, 4,400. 2 cheap running backs. These are takes no one's going to play. I get that. These are tournament plays that I feel very good about, actually. No, Philly doesn't need to win Javon Watts. They sure don't. They're 3 games up or something. So, I mean, why do they need to win? I like these cheap guys, though. I feel really good that this happens, and I'm going to get these guys Kenny Gainwell gets goal line carries already here and there. He's 4,400. I can play him with Gardner Minshew, and I can play all the studs, kind of that build that Hoop was talking about. I can jam all those studs in with a build like this. And if I guess right on this script, I mean, I got upside for days to ship things. So, and Dallas side, I think, is even more difficult. So they're what, 3 games behind Philly. They're not winning the division. They're locked into basically the 5th seed. I don't see why you'd play these guys. I'm not going to play any Dallas guys. I was trying to find someone. Noah Brown has been getting a little bit of work, another cheap receiver that I mean, he went for 12 and 22 the last 2 weeks. So 3,600. T.Y. Hilton, maybe they get T.Y. Hilton some work. First week there, game doesn't mean a ton. Maybe they throw him a deep ball or something. So my take is definitely different. I don't see any reason whatsoever these teams play today.
Okay, see, I'm struggling because I've got a lineup that I like. All right, I'm doing single lineup Crain, and my last piece I have exactly $6,000, and I'm sitting here staring at Zeke, saying, "Oh," and I guess as the last piece in, I don't think it's
don't
crazy.
Play Zeke.
Man, it's the last piece, Tony. The last piece.
Don't play.
What
Zeke.
do you want me to do, man?
If you
play someone else,
Crain, if you wanna play Zeke, you gotta come to me. You gotta pose that question to me, not Tony.
Okay, hold on. Okay,
you guys aren't playing Zeke on this.
All right,
slate.
Tony, I'm just gonna block you off my screen. Okay, bye. Hoop, what do we think about Zeke?
Don't play Zeke. Play your boy Pacheco or something.
Yeah, play Pacheco. Oh, you already got him.
All right, and play.
Got to be someone else in that range.
Yeah, there's got to be something a little bit different.
I mean, maybe Dobbins. I don't know. Zeke's props are just so much better than Dobbins. I just can't do it.
Yeah.
Break my freaking heart.
You don't want to do that, man. You don't.
I don't want to do that, but I'm sitting here looking for another alternative. And guess what? I don't know. Nothing I really like. All right. Anyways,
DJ Moore or something. Or do you need a running back?
No. It could be a. I'm in the flex. I'm flexible, as they say.
You're flexing on us, right?
I could save $1,000 to go down to Brandon Cooks.
Oh boy. Go back to Zeke. Back on Zeke.
All right. Talk to me, Hoop. What do you think about this game?
Yeah, it's a tough one. So Minshew for sure. I mean, 6-1 on FanDuel, 4-8 on DK. A lot of people will probably play him naked. I like pairing him. AJ Brown should be low owned because of the price tag and Hurts out. Devonta Smith. These are low owned. Probably, we talked about the Bills situation, probably very similar. AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, super low owned, easy to get over the field. Minshew is not your typical backup quarterback. He's had success in this league. I think he can get the job done. And then the other underrated part is with all the weather situations, this is obviously in a dome. So I have a little more interest in the, skilled position players for the Eagles. And then on the Cowboys side, it is tough. The name that I like that Tony actually brought up is Noah Brown. 3.6K appears to be like the number 2. Gallup kind of getting passed up, and the concern obviously is T.Y. Hilton supposedly playing today. Dalton Schultz 4.2K, fine with him. I don't know how much CD I'll get to. I do want a little bit of Pollard if possible, but I mean, the one play I actually do like on DK is Cowboys defense, because I think a lot of people will be playing Minshew. Cowboys defense only 2.6K at home, and it looks like they're getting some of their pieces back.
Guess who the Cowboys defense correlates with?
Oh man, I see where you're going now. I see what you have going on over there. But
it's funny, if you guys have watched the show, you could build my exact lineup right now. Like 100%, you could build my exact lineup.
But yeah, that's about it for me. I don't know. It's not as exciting of a game as I think people view it as.
Yeah, I like takes that win people's slates. I'm just saying, I feel so confident that these teams don't do nothing.
Yeah, no,
they're not playing for anything, and I don't think people realize that.
Might as well feed Zeke then. Might as well just do
why
it.
Would
just
they
give him
feed,
the damn
why would they feed Zeke if they're not playing?
Because Daddy needs some fucking steak.
You aren't seriously playing Zeke. I don't believe
Dude,
you.
I'm like last piece in. I don't think it's insane. I don't think it's insane. He's got a 60 prop. He's minus 110 to score. Like,
I'll bet the under on the 60.
All right.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Take your 12 fantasy points.
I mean, he can fall in twice.
12 even.
Yeah, I get it. I'm not happy about it. It's the last piece in. How'd we do with the likes? I bet we got.
Yeah, they got to the readjusted number.
So these people are more. I'm telling you, these guys are morons. One dude says, "Oh, if Philly loses all 3 and Dallas wins all 3, they get the 1." Okay, they lose all 3. Got it. If the Eagles are only up 2 over the Vikings, they beat the Vikings. They got the tiebreaker. The Eagles are the 1 seed. They're not getting the 1 seed. It's over. It's done with.
Over. All right, plays of the day. Hoop, let's go to you, brother. Rich parent play of the day. Who you got?
Rich parent play of the day is it's going to be a big name, but a big name at low ownership. I'm going Josh Allen as the rich parent play of the day. I mean, looking like single digit ownership on Josh Allen. I'm sorry, I can't pass it up. So many different ways to get there. He's used to playing in this shitty weather that they will have in Chicago today. Josh Allen at like 4, 5, 6% ownership. I have to be in on that. So give me Josh Allen as the rich parents play of the day.
Tony, workbench play of the day, the hot tub workbench player of the day. Who you got?
Oh, I like that. The hot tub upper shelf. Upper level.
Too cold for the top.
You just got to splash. Hey, you got to splash water as you thrust splash water.
The splash water play. So my problem with the play today is it's either too chalky or it's too contrarian, because a lot of my guys are like these top. My favorite ones are these top guys that are going to be owned by a ton. I'm trying to find someone that I think could be more contrarian. My contrarian take, it won't be my play, but I just really like those Philadelphia running backs. They're going to be 1% owned though, so I don't want that to be my play of the day. Who cares? It doesn't always have to be low owned. I think Justin Jefferson's the best play of the slate. I don't care. I like to go more contrarian, but whatever. I'm going to play this dude on all my teams. I freaking love him. He's going to go for 35. Christmas Eve, he's only going to be 20% too, I bet. A lot of people playing these running backs. Give me my boy Jetty. I think he crushes.
Yeah, I was going to go with one of 2 guys for my
Don't you dare say
I don't
Zeke.
even know it. No, I was going to joke about Zeke, but yeah, anyway.
I know where Drano Crano's going. I think I can predict it.
Okay, so we'll play a little game. What position, who?
Running back.
You are correct.
Okay.
Over under 6,500.
Under.
Okay, you are still correct.
Yeah.
Is it a running back on a team that is quarterbacked by Patrick Mahomes?
Correct.
All right.
Mr.
Well, that's
Pacheco.
right. Mr. Pacheco is my. Look at who.
Let's go, baby. I like it.
Yeah, Mr. Pacheco. All the numbers line up here. The fact that McKinnon has gone off the last 2 games. I get it. I get why people would go to McKinnon. I still think Pacheco getting more work than McKinnon. He's going to get their goal line work. I like Pacheco quite a bit in this spot at 10% ownership, which
I like
will
your play better than mine. You got a better play of the day than me.
I was
like
literally
him.
either going Jefferson or Pacheco. It just depended if you were going, if you were going to go with one or the other. If you had
I wish I went your way. I should have made you take Jetty. Pacheco's a better play of the day. I didn't want to. I hate taking guys like that for my play of the day. It's no fun.
Come on, Tony, live a little, buddy. Take the guys like that.
I feel like a pussy. I don't like being a puss on Christmas Eve. I needed to have a more contrarian play of the day. Pacheco was the man. Yeah, I want Kenny Gainwell. Yeah, the chat says it. I can't be a puss. I need a contrarian guy.
Oh man, did you really just go from Justin Jefferson to Kenny Gainwell?
I feel like a puss. It's too easy taking Jefferson.
The thing about Jefferson, he's still going to be under 20%.
I know, but I can't that's too obvious. I got to be a little more creative. I'm disappointed in myself.
Here, my play of the day is playing Dalvin and Jefferson together and just getting the entire Minnesota offense.
Yeah, even Taysom Locks. That's that on FanDuel. That if it was just FanDuel, he would have been my play for sure.
I've never seen Tony regret a play of the day like this.
It's
Instant regret.
I didn't really have a good guy.
You knew it was coming. We were getting to 12.
I know, but the whole show I couldn't figure out who I wanted to say because literally my roster constructions today are like chalky guys and 1% guys. There's no in between really.
Well, guys, we appreciate everybody watching. I want to make sure, and Joey Lacey, thank you. I want to make sure, wish everybody out there a Merry Christmas. Enjoy your time with your family. Enjoy watching some football. Enjoy winning some giblets with us today because that's what we're going to be doing over on Run Pure Sports. Check us out on runpuresports.com. We got everything going on. Again, ho, ho, ho 25 for those of you who are wanting to join. That's going to give you 25% off your first payment to Run Pure Sports. And we got a lot good going on, especially with tennis coming up, football going on, basketball going on, a lot going on over at Run Pure Sports, and we love to print giblets with you guys. We're going to get off here. We got a lot coming up here in about just a little bit, so make sure you stay tuned for that. For Hoop, for Tony, for Jeremy behind the scenes, I'm Eric. We'll catch you all later. Peace.